bitch. Oh, excuse you. Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Yeah. Hey y'all, welcome back. Happy Saturday. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in pop culture and hot topics. So that is a show for you. Definitely stick around because we have a lot of tea to spill today, including I'm going to give my overall thoughts on the Michael movie. I saw it yesterday, so we're going to talk about it and the celebrity who was actually at my screening. So we'll talk about all of that. Plus, we got to talk about that, of course, with all the stuff coming on and people feeling indifferent about the film. You know, you got the critics over at Rotten Tomatoes versus the actual fans of the film who all seem to be enjoying the movie. Jackson Estate is facing SA allegations from the Casio family. There were four siblings who said that Michael touched them inappropriately. We'll get into that story. Plus, speaking of being touched inappropriately and then getting rid of the body because you didn't want nobody to find out, but your ass got found out any damn way. We got to talk about David Nasty behind, bury his black ass under the goddamn jail because of all the tea that's coming out about him and finding the child porn on his phone. I don't know why anybody's surprised by all of this because you don't go around seeking out 14-year-olds and not be into children. So we'll get into that. Plus, speaking of being into children, Russell Brand out here admitting on Megyn Kelly's show of all people, but then again, a lot of these incels are dumb as fuck anyway, including her big long-headed ass. He went on her show and decided to divulge that he slept with a 16-year-old girl. So we'll get into that. Plus, it looks like there was this beef. I don't know. We didn't get around to talking about it because I think it just happened in the past couple of days. Charlie XCX and John Summit are going at it, but gay Twitter decided to assert themselves in the conversation, and I got some thoughts because they decided to prep shame and all this other stuff. So we'll get into that. Plus, we got to talk about Billy Porter revealed he hasn't been invited to the Met Gala ever since he called Edna Mode, aka Anna Wintour, a bitch. We'll get into that. Plus, Lil Nas X's interview with T.S. Madison finally came out. She filmed it a while ago, but because of what he was going through, she decided to hold it, and then she dropped it in the season finale. And he talks about his sexuality in depth and a whole bunch of other things. So we'll get into that. Plus, we got to talk about All Stars 11. The cast came out. What was it, like 3 days ago on Wednesday? Of course, I was busy, so I wasn't able to come out and talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Plus, speaking of Drag Race, we got to talk about Morphine Love Dion. Apparently, people want her to come out as trans because when they saw the confessional look, Miss Thing was looking a lot more feminine than usual. So people are wondering, so is Morphine trans or not? And Morphine has responded to a lot of people's speculations on social media. So those are the topics for now. There's not a lot going on, but I feel like it's juicy enough. All that stuff is going to be enough to hold y'all until Monday. So before we get to the topics, if you could please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. And with all that being said, I'm hoping and praying that this damn thing don't start freezing because I had to go and do some sorcery up in here. I emailed StreamYard. They gave me some ideas on what I need to do. And because we've been dealing with like the camera freezing when I go over the stuff, I think maybe what the issue is sometimes I have way too many windows open. So I may have to start doing less topics, which would be good because then the less topics we do a day, the more in depth of the topics we can go into. So I don't think I'm gonna be trying to do 15, 16 topics. Sometimes we gotta learn to stretch that out. Because then I notice also when I get towards like when we finally get towards the finish line, child, I'll be drained. So I'm like, I gotta start preserving my energy too. Okay, well, when you make you stupid. I said, well, when you make that movie, let me know. I'll go to the screening. I don't think he did. Didn't he die? I don't think Mississippi ever came out. But child, we knew he loved hanging down over there on 14th Street where the prostitutes be, allegedly. But anyway, let me put this in the thing so that way we can see the viewer comments because I always be forgetting sometimes to put it in. Let me hit the banner. And without further ado, let's get right into topic number one. And let's talk about Michael. So yeah, I went to go see Michael yesterday because it was like I did my little video on it, and I did see a lot of people got a lot of responses, a lot of comments, all this stuff. I appreciate it, good, bad, or indifferent. I finally went around and seeing it. And my overall thoughts on the film, it's not a bad movie. I don't know what the hell these Rotten Tomatoes critics was watching, but we clearly was not watching the same damn movie. So when they were sitting there going 27%, or I don't even know what the percentage is now. If y'all want to Google Schmoogle and let me know in the comments what the current Rotten Tomato score is, because I'm busy doing this. Um, Let me know in the chat what the current number is. But I don't know what the hell these critics was looking for. I don't know what they were in, like. What were they expecting in regards of? I just need to know what why they voted the way they voted. But for the most part, if you want to feel nostalgic about the music, they definitely lay it on thick in the film. I was definitely tapping my feet and getting into the music. Got me running day tonight. Like when that song came on during the victory tour, child, I lost it because I love that old, those old hits that Michael Jackson had back in the day in the 80s. Well, not even the 80s, it was like 70s, right? When did Off the Wall come out? So it was like kind of like that whole vibe or whatever. I was liking a lot of the nostalgia aspect. I think the little kid, I don't remember his name, the one that played young Michael, he did a phenomenal job portraying him, the dancing, perfecting his craft and all this stuff. Definitely enjoyed those scenes. I would have loved to have seen a movie with just them exploring the Jackson 5 aspect. And then we could have stopped it there. But they decided to go from like, what was it, the 60s to like 1988, I believe, was when the cutoff period happened. So this was all, of course, before the first allegations of Michael allegedly diddling with children. Jordan Chandler, his father was the one who filed the charges, said Michael touched his son inappropriately. They did a whole settlement, that sort of thing. Which I know some people would be like, well, if Michael Jackson is innocent in the sexual allegations, then why did he settle? I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not his attorney. I was not advising him on why he should have or should not have settled, but that's what had happened. If we get to a part two, because they did end it like it was some Avengers type shit, where they were saying, well, his story, and it's funny because it was like, remember Michael Jackson History, where he had that album that came out? So they were just like, his story will continue at the end, very Avengers style. So if this movie does well, which I definitely think it will, we'll get into the box office after I give my overall review. Um, I do believe that maybe they will make a sequel, but at this point, I'm just like, do y'all even want to touch that? Because one of my issues with the film, and I'm about to get into, I think, yeah, I'm gonna get into that now. One of my issues with the film was that they tried to make Michael too perfect. They Peter Panned him, even though there was reference a lot in the movie to Peter Pan. He was always reading the book. He was always referencing Peter Pan as the boy who didn't want to grow up, or whatever the case is. And I understand that that was a piece of who he was because he was denied a childhood because Joe didn't want to work, didn't want to be a blue collar worker no more. So when he discovered that his kids had talent, he was working to death. They were like staying up late nights, probably missing school or whatever the case was. And Catherine, why you gonna have the kids miss school? They didn't go to school. And then she was very passive in the movie. First of all, I did not like Neil Long's portrayal of Catherine Jackson. She was too damn passive. She ain't really give much of anything. If anything, I felt like the my Catherine Jackson is always gonna be Angela Bassett because she ate down with that part. And I feel like that if people want a little more in depth of the whole Michael Jackson thing, go back to the American Dream miniseries that came out 100 years ago over on VH1. But if you're looking for some real depth, some real emotional, whatever, you're not going to get that from this movie. You're going to get the greatest hits of all his songs. You're going to get a lot of performances. They gloss over a lot of stuff. Oh, here's a scene of him going to visit kids in the hospital. Here's a scene of him going to Studio 54. They show the outside, they show the inside, but you don't see Michael doing nothing up in there, even though we know he dated Brooke Shields and Tatum O'Neal and was probably carrying up in that damn Studio 54 because nobody went to Studio 54 to hug a wall. They did not. Even though I wasn't even born yet when Studio 54 was around. But still, I know that if you was going to Studio 54 based on the stories, and that's why I hated that 54 movie. Even though there was some pieces in there that I enjoyed, I felt like that was a whitewashed, watered down version of the whole Studio 54 era. The only time you get the real tea is from people who I know that actually went, that were of the nightlife scene and were partying in those days, and from documentaries. And I feel like there's so many documentaries and stuff on Michael Jackson. So if you really want to get in depth with all of that, you're going to get that from documentaries. You're not going to get it from this biopic because they definitely Bohemian Rhapsody this film, which it shouldn't be a shocker because one of the guys that developed and produced Bohemian Rhapsody worked on this movie, went to the family, was like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this type of movie, whatever, 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 and we're not gonna go and go a little too deep. Even though that we did hear the stories that they did try to go deep within the molestation stuff because they said in the opening scene, the movie was supposed to start with Michael in his in the mansion, lights flickering in the background, like the police lights or whatever, and police were coming into the mansion to search the home for any kind of child porn paraphernalia, whatever the case was, because that was around the allegations. And then we were going to flash back to when he was a kid until whatever point they were going to lead off, which would be covering the trial and the other stuff. They had to scrap all that because apparently people didn't read the fine print where they were like, you cannot, part of the agreement of settling with this kid, you cannot mention this trial in any shape or form. So they had to scrap all that. I don't know how the estate missed all of that because that was just a wasted opportunity and wasted money. So the Jackson estate had to come in, find the use their own money to do the reshoots, which I also heard this. Antoine Fuqua was apparently he left the film during post-production because he grew exhausted of the seemingly endless updates and changes that need to be made to the film due to ongoing legal issues and requests from the Jackson family. He's so basically what it was that so when you see him on the red carpet and he's promoting the stuff, that was part of the agreement. But besides all that, he could not mention that he had left the project due to creative differences. This is according to Jeff Snyder, by the way, who works, who does the hot mic. He revealed this on the hot mic the other day with John Roca, that little T, because he said he heard from somebody in the industry who told him this, and he went and revealed it on the show. So it definitely feels like the movie was disjointed in a lot of ways. And I saw like a lot of people was just, again, you enjoy all the performances and all the stuff, but to me, it's like that's all a cover up for a weak script. Now, is there no plot or no story? Yes, there is. I think the story mostly, and you can find it in there if you're actually sitting and paying attention, which I was paying attention and going through it with a fine tooth comb. It was like, yeah, I was enjoying the performances and everything, but what I felt like the story was okay, so Michael was dealing with a lot of the stuff from his father, always getting on him, knew he was the cash cow, knew that he was the most talented out of all the bunch, and kept trying to always badger and Michael, oh, you gonna abandon your family, you gonna abandon your father, you gonna abandon all of us because you want to go off and do your own thing and have your own aspirations, which as a grown man, you should be able to do that. So you always cut himself and attach himself to the family, didn't want to leave home because he felt this obligation to everybody. But then on the other flip side, he wanted to go off and do his own thing. And Joe kept hovering that over his head, according to what we got in this movie. And finally, at the end of the movie, during the victory tour, is when he stands up to his father and is like, oh, yeah, this is the last time I'm ever going out and performing with, the Jackson Five. I'm going off and I'm going to do my own thing. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. And then here this man coming like the scene and What's Love Got to Do with It when Ike Turner popped up in Tina dressing room with the gun. It was definitely given that with that scene. How you gonna turn your back on your family? That's the last time. Why you say that on that stage? And then Michael walking, just going on. And then of course we transition to later on when he's on stage and he's performing, a lot of his solo stuff. Where you got the Jerry curl with the ponytail and all that other stuff. So it definitely goes in that Bohemian Rhapsody territory where the last 30 minutes of the movie, it's a big concert. And that was one of the reasons why I hated Bohemian Rhapsody, because like I told y'all, just like he went and I realized the whole time I'm talking, I ain't put up no picture. Just like the last time um with Bohemian Rhapsody, I always felt like they kind of queer washed his storyline. I mean, I get that, there were implications that he was bisexual, he was into men, but y'all glossed over the same sex stuff until later on when he ended up with AIDS. Then we want to acknowledge the gay stuff, which kind of plays into gay is bad, AIDS, you're gonna die, all that other stuff. But we planned this whole thing that he loved fish the whole damn movie. So that's what kind of irritated me with Bohemian Rhapsody. But I will say this, I enjoyed Michael more than I enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody. So if you want to go for the performances, the greatest hits, all this stuff, definitely go see the movie. You will have a good time at the box office, but you will notice the weak script. And John Branca who I believe produced the film. He's played by Miles Teller. That was I mean, I like that performance. The thing that also annoyed me, because even if you don't want to focus on the sexual abuse allegations, all this stuff, which they didn't need to, in my opinion, in this film, if you're going to make another one, focus on that in the second half. But it'll be interesting to see how they touch that. But based on this film that I saw, I didn't feel that they touched enough on the racism he dealt with as well, especially from MTV. Because remember back in the day, David Bowie had to go in an interview at MTV and call out MTV for the lack of black support on their channels. And then and then also, why didn't we harbor on the fact that Sony was not necessarily, they exploited and they used Michael, and Michael has written songs where he's bashed his label, where he's bashed people that have been behind the scenes working in the background, and some of the shady stuff that they've done to him. I would have also liked to see a little shadiness from Michael, because Michael was not no damn innocent. You remember the story about how he went and bought up the Beatles catalog, and he was good friends with Paul McCartney, and Paul McCartney hated him over that fact. So there were little shady things, and trust and believe, I know, because we Virgos, we can be real shady when we need to. And he's an August Virgo, I'm September, but still, the sentiment is the same. When we can do some real shady undercutting shit when we need to, and it happened, and you won't even realize what happened. So I wanted them to kind of also play into that. Also, that little high pitched voice, Michael ain't always sound like that. There was moments where he put some bass in that voice. So I didn't like the whole idea of like there was this real specific perpetuation of, if that ain't a word it is today, perpetuation of his persona. It felt very one note. So, and I'm not saying like, I'm just saying, like, personally, I want a little more depth, but and a little three dimension. So the kid that played Michael did a phenomenal job. I thought Jafar Jackson did a good job too. The dancing was phenomenal. Like the way he captured Michael's performance. I feel a sneeze coming. Hold on. Okay, it went away. I was like, "What's coming?" But I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, Jafar Jackson, I thought, did a phenomenal job. The reenactments of the stuff was great. Although I'm like, child, I could have just went over to MTV or YouTube, fuck MTV. I went over to YouTube and pretty much pulled up the Thriller video, the behind the scenes making of it, some of the interviews that he's done where he was putting the records and stuff together. I did find the scene cute when Suzanne DePaz saw the Jacksons perform, and she invited them to the studio to meet Berry Gordy, and Berry Gordy was actually producing Michael in the studio, and he kept trying to tell Michael to stop moving because you're catching on the mic. But it's like when you're feeling the music, and that's just like a black thing, I guess, but or just a soul thing. Whenever you're feeling the music, it's hard to kind of like just stand still and just sing into the mic. And I think it was also because his father always taught them that he got to be moving around and this, that, and the other. But it's like, yeah, there's a difference when you watching something on TV and you think you know how to produce people based off of what you're watching on TV versus someone who actually is in them rooms in the studio producing and telling the artist what to do. And I did think it was kind of interesting, which I would have loved for them to explore more of. Did Berry Gordy not like Joe Jackson? Because they played that up like, oh, you can, and he said in front of me, oh, you can, Mike, to Michael, you can ask me anything you want at any time. He was literally showing Michael how to, like, all the buttons and stuff in the studio and how to produce his vocals and all this other stuff, which I'm sure played into his situation down the road when he got older, and of course had a studio in the house. What was the Jackson estate called? Hazelhurst, Havenhurst, somebody Hurst. Child, why would you name anything with a hearse in it? That's like promoting death. Or was Havenhurst, was that from like the stories? Maybe I'm thinking all my children would like to live with them shits. But so yeah, there was playing that up, and it looked like Joe didn't like that. The fact that Michael was taking more to Berry Gordy, and Berry Gordy was coming across more as a father to him than his own father. So there was little things that they were playing up in the film, and there was a lot of things. It's hard to get into because I don't want to spend like an hour talking about this, but there was so many little things in this film. I'm like, you know what? I would love for them to explore that more. Oh, I would like for them to explore that more. It just felt like y'all were just glossing over everything, and I get it because Michael's career has started in the '60s and ended in like what, the 2000s. So he's like, his career spans like I'll say 5 decades. How do you how do you know gather all of that and make that into a movie? This is why I said I think it's not a good idea to make a Madonna biopic. As much as I love Madonna, doing a 2 hour movie on her life, it's literally we gonna literally I'm gonna be up in here complaining about her movie. You know I love Madonna. I'm gonna be complaining about her movie, just like I'm complaining about Michael Jackson. Oh, they glossed over this. Oh, they glossed over that. They didn't focus too much on this. They didn't like what is going. And then now she trying to water down her whole. And because she want to be heavily involved, then I'm gonna be blaming her. Oh, now she trying to gloss over this and don't want to put this in there. And this happened during this era. Why didn't you explore this? So I always feel like if you're gonna take on people like that, what you need to do is you need to focus on. I think a series would work. I think if they gave us a Michael Jackson biopic series, 8 parts on Netflix, I think that would fan over better. But I get it. Y'all want to see this in the theater. You want to have it in Dolby with the surround sound. And don't get me wrong, I saw it in Dolby. And Dolby, it sounds so good hearing the music coming through your ears and watching it on that big screen. So if you get to experience it, I would say, I mean, I don't know about IMAX. I don't know if that's going to feel any better, but for me, I'm all about sound quality. And because music and everything, and music has always kind of been my background and stuff, and live entertainment. I would say like Dolby is the best place to even hear the music because you're hearing it come from all these different speakers, and I feel like it's going through you and going through my ears and just going around me. So I just love hearing that the sound quality was just great for me when I was watching this movie. So that made me enjoy it even more. So to wrap this up, I do want to say that Coleman Domingo went on what was it? NBC in the morning and basically talked about the allegations that Michael Jackson biopic is whitewashed. And so here's the thing. I got to give it up to co-anchor Craig Melvin because he's shady. Craig will be up in there. He get these celebrities gooped. This is like the second time this year that he gooped a celebrity. First one was Nicole Scherzinger. Remember, I mean, Scherzinger. Scherzen, Scherz. What is her name? Nicole Scherzinger. Jesus. Nicole, remember when he gathered Nicole Scherzinger? Was like, why is there only 3 of y'all? Last time we checked, it was supposed to be 6 pussycat dolls. And she was up there stuttering, and couldn't even come up with a thing. And got stumped, and one of the other girls had to bail her out. Stirs, remember, united and all that crap that they said that nobody bought. But child, quiet as kept. We don't remember them other girls anyway, so we good with the 3 we got because they background dancers anyway. Oh, that was another thing. Speaking of background dancers, because I'm gonna get to the Craig Melvin thing again. Before I forget, that's the way they treated the brothers in this film. That was my issue too. I couldn't tell Tito, Randy, Marlon, Jackie, Dramatically, I know Dramatically come later. I just want to say the name. But you couldn't tell which one of the brothers was which. They literally were treated like Michael Jackson was always meant to be a solo star, and then y'all had everybody in the background just being the band. It felt Selena Elos Dinos, but the difference is at least we knew AB and Suzette and the rest of them up in the Quintanilla family. They all had personalities, even though they was a part of the band. That's why Selena is such a good damn movie, because they covered everything, the flaws and all the things that she was going through. This movie, it was a little too Disney-fied. And that was my fear going into this film, and they proved me right with that. But overall, like I said, the fashions, the scenes, the performances, Jafar, the little kid that played young Michael, did a phenomenal job. But I just felt like the young Jackson kids could have been fleshed out. Child, I even made a joke. I was like, even though Reby ain't even in the damn movie. Janet and Reby's not in the movie. We already discussed the whole thing about Janet in a previous video. But I'm like, damn, where Reby? At least they should have had her sing Centipede. Because when the centipede is hot, you know, I don't know what happens when the centipede is hot. She said it in a song, but I don't remember the rest of the lyrics. So I would have liked to. Like, what was going on with Riri? I mean, maybe she didn't want to be in the movie either, but y'all could have just had them sitting at the table or walking by in the background or whatever, like Janet standing next to her mother in the kitchen sink while she washing dishes. Y'all could have came up with something. We ain't saying you got to mention them. Like we could see them. Okay, there go Riri, there go Janet. But y'all had to tackle Latoya all up in that movie, even though Latoya did make allegations about her father touched her inappropriately, and she said Michael was a pedophile. Remember that? So yeah, to get back into the thing, so I just want to bring that up before I forget. I didn't like the way that they didn't even give the brothers any depth. And when Michael went off the transition to be a solo star because he didn't want to be a part of the Jackson Five anymore, he wanted to go solo and do his own thing. I would have loved to have learned how they felt when Michael decided to go off and do it because Michael's out here busy trying to find his identity because he was the lead singer. He knew he had a little more because the way he was raised up to believe that he was the greatest. And he had to constantly remind himself and tell him that and writing notes and stuff. I do advise that people do that too. Like if you feel like people have been tearing you down and making fun of you and talking about your big nose, which he did change and said it was about his damn sinuses when it wasn't, then they gloss over the Villa Lago thing. And I even saw they posted, they try to put scenes up in there where he's in the water, in the pool, and then you see little spots on his body. So they were trying to play up the whole Villa Lago thing as to making it like why he wanted to change his skin color. But if that was the case, the whole Villa Lago trying to even out your skin with the makeup, I don't think y'all was all being entirely truthful because why all of a sudden, like all your kids is white except Blanket. He looks racially ambiguous. A lot of the Jacksons have this fixation with wanting to date outside of the race. I think the only one who got a black everything is Rebe, but all of them, except Latoya, because she ain't got no kids, but all of them was doing like real weird, crazy stuff or wanting to make sure the family had like this racially ambiguous look to them. Not saying that's a wrong thing because look, I'm a child of mixed race. But we don't sit and throw black people under the bus in order to, have a little like to prop ourselves or them up because of the overall racism you had to endure growing up. So that was kind of like the issue for me too. Like I was saying, is like I just want a little more of the relationship with his brothers fleshed out, not just some scene of him showing up with Twister into my y'all want to play Twister? And then Michael, we grown, we moving on. Like we ain't got time to be up in here playing Twister. We all got girlfriends, we got lives, we're gonna go out and party, but you want to come and play some damn Twister. So he ended up playing Twister with a CGI bubbles in his room. So that's another thing. I did see an article where they said, "Where's Bubbles today?" I didn't read it, but I did not know Bubbles was 43 years old. I'm like, and still alive? Shout out to him. They be aging, these mammals be aging like us. But anyway, to get into the thing, because I keep getting sidetracked with other things, so Craig Melvin noted that the film ends in 88, as I said earlier, 5 years before the first allegation was leveled against Jackson. And he said, what would you say to folks who see this and believe the film whitewashed that part of Jackson's legacy? And he said that the film takes place between the 60s and 1988, so it does not go into the first allegation he said in what, 2005? So they said we center it on the makings of Michael. It's an intimate portrait of who Michael is. Well, I don't think y'all got intimate enough. And I mean meaning like who is the man behind the persona? Who is the man behind the and the moonwalking and all that other stuff? I wanted to know a little more. And I don't feel like we got enough of that. Y'all made it like he's this very shy, introverted, whatever, whatever. And yes, his personality did seem very one note and glossed over or very much Disney-fied, but there should be nuances there. There should be a little grit, depth, emotion. Humans are not just monotone or humans are not just like some one monotone type of thing. I needed a little more depth to him. Like, who was this guy? Like, explore the loneliness that he was dealing with. Explore the fact that, yeah, he was so famous, he couldn't go out nowhere. He couldn't do anything, even though they did show us seeing him buying toys or whatever. And he had this relationship with his bodyguard, which I didn't know anything about. Um, and he was in the store and the woman recognized him and she tried to make it like the autograph was for her son, but it really was for her. And then all these people start gathering around and signing the autographs. That's like one scene, and then the people that would literally stand outside with signs camping outside his house and had no life, literally was out there just like they lived there on the property and the premise just to get a glimpse of Michael Jackson. So we got the superstar status, but I would have loved to have seen more of who is the man behind the persona. And I know that in the film they say, "Oh, he wants to be mysterious. He wants to be portrayed as mysterious." And yeah, the mystery is there, but can to give us a little bit of who was the man behind the mystery? Because if you're gonna make a movie about Michael Jackson, you can't just give us the glitz and the glamour and not some just a sense of just a little bit of the warts and all. And by the warts, I'm not meaning we got to get extreme to the point of yeah, we got to cover the SA allegations. But if you're gonna make a sequel and y'all alluding to that, you're gonna have to go there. So, family, if y'all want to sit up here and try to gloss over some things, if that's not what, if y'all don't want to go deep, if you don't want to go into the deep end of the ocean with this situation, then don't make a second one. Leave the people hoping and praying that we're gonna get one. But if you're not really gonna go in depth on who Michael was and the allegations and all that stuff, then in the sequel, because that's not what we was gonna get with this. And I think that's why people are reviewing it the way they're reviewing it, because they were expecting to get the stuff and then hearing the rumors on the allegations that was cut, that whole trial and all of that was cut from the movie. Um, you want to know something? I'm starting to think. You think that that it was a possibility they knew they weren't supposed to cover that, decided to spend the money, and they were, oh my God, well, look, we weren't supposed to put this in there, and then they decided because based off it would make good to kind of put this out there in the media and be like, well, they can't cover. Well, we missed the fine print, or we weren't supposed to cover this stuff because it was part of the deal. And so that kind of lets them off the hook where it's like, well, they should have covered this, they should have covered that. And then people go and say, well, they tried to, but this is what happened. So I'm wondering, because you know me and my cynical side, I always be trying to see like with Devil's Advocate, if that was kind of like the stunt they were trying to pull, they knew they couldn't cover that, but they decided to go in and do that anyway. So yeah, that's what Coleman said. That basically they couldn't, this is about celebrating his life and his legacy and all that other stuff, and it's a love letter to him, I guess, whatever the case is. But he also went on to say, through his eyes, truly, that's what it is. That's what the film is, and there's the possibility of there being a part two that may deal with other things. This may happen afterwards. This is about the makings of Michael, how he was raised, and how he was trying to find his voice as an artist. And I think for the most part, I do feel like in so many ways we get a sense of how he was trying to find his voice. And he was trying to find his voice by not being in the shadow of the Jackson Five or being cut by his father. Because remember, at one point, Joe tried to control Janet. Joe tried to control and tell Janet what type of music she was doing. And yeah, the music was flopping until she decided to cut ties with, have her Joe Jackson moment. And she came out with the third album, Control, and that's where her career blew up. And it's no shade. I love Michael, but I'm a Janet fan. I think more so. I like Janet more than I like Michael. And it's like, yeah, we love the moon walking in the glove and all that stuff. And yeah, they do cover the whole burn situation where he got burned by what was it, the Pepsi commercial, which his father forced him to do because he was off doing his own solo thing. So he made this deal behind his back with Don King. So they get into that. And I was sitting there wondering if Don King was alive, would he been upset that he was portrayed in this movie the way he was portrayed? Because he was making him like he was a Joe, and even though it was kind of like a brief situation, they did play him up like he's sort of like a snaky, conniving type of promoter. Which, if you know from the stories back in the day with Don King and Mike Tyson, there's a little truth to that. But oh yeah, so then they go into this whole thing about Dan Reed, the director of the 2019 docuseries Leaving Neverland, which detailed the two additional allegations of SA against Jackson, both made after his 2009 death, slammed Michael in 2024, saying it's an out and out attempt to completely rewrite the allegations and dismiss them out of hand and contains complete lies, he remarked at the time after reading a draft of the script. And based off of what he was saying is like this rewrite the allegations. Well, they not talking about. I wish I would have read the script where it had the allegations and stuff in there, but we don't have it. Now, Yeah, and it said even in a report published by Variety early in the month, they claim that Michael doesn't address the allegations due to a clause in the Chandler settlement that barred any depiction or mention of Jordan Chandler in any movie. Now, the question remains if they decide to touch on this again, the because Jordan Chandler is not the first or the last person to come out with an allegation. I do wonder if there are other allegations that he settled on because remember, once you open up that can of worms, you get a seal, you get a swarm of people who want to come in and they want to, get their piece of the pie. Oh, so this person came over there and may have lied on Michael and said he touched him inappropriate, and because you wanted to go away, you settled. Oh, now maybe we can come in and get our own thing. And now it causes this avalanche of things where you're going to constantly pay people off. At some point, you got to be able to stand up and say, okay, these are outright lies and I'm not paying you a dime. Let's take it to trial. So, oh yeah. So now after all of that, so I think I pretty much have wrapped my thing up. I feel like as I continue to talk more about the movie, meaning down the road when we do the official box office report on Monday, then I'll probably remember some more stuff and bring it up. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, so I happened after I saw the movie, I went to the bathroom as I always do because the movie started like around I went to a 12:15 screening or whatever. I heard they had like a little red carpet thing downstairs at um Lincoln Square. That was the theater I went to in the city. So I come happened to finish going to the bathroom, whatever. I go over to the sink, and who's in the bathroom? None other than Cedric the Entertainer. So he was in there with his entourage. They over there cracking jokes and doing that. I was like, damn, this comedian just be on all damn day. I'll just be up in there kikiing and joking or whatever the case is. So with just him and a group of people, they went to go see the film. I don't know if I think they might have been in the same row as me, but it might have been in lower level, but they had a bunch of people that was with them. But yeah, I was like, I look dead. I mean, he looked exactly how he looked in real life. I think he might be like maybe 2 inches shorter than me. But um, so yeah, so that was my celebrity spotting. And you see all kinds of people when you in New York, just in passing whatever. But yeah, so let's get into the box office real quick and then we can wrap this up. So, um, Michael told the rest of the domestic box office to beat it as Lionsgate biopic about the King of Pop easily secured the top spot on the Friday charts. So, if you want to make the box office a better place, release a Michael Jackson biopic and make a change. Lionsgate's Michael twirled up a 39.5 million Friday US, in which shaping up to be a $95 million opening in North America, maybe even an epic 100 million, which would be the second highest bow of the year behind Super Mario Galaxy movie, 131 million. Oh yeah, then I was watching some reviewer where they said, "Oh, y'all gonna sit up in here and talk about Super Mario Galaxy is a better film, and not talking about that they're playing up the nostalgia and everything when Michael and then bash Michael." But both movies are doing pretty much the same thing. Y'all playing up the nostalgia. It's a weak story, but you are giving Super Mario Galaxy more praise than Michael. Like it doesn't make sense. I wish people would be a little more honest and nuanced in their reviews instead of just saying stuff because y'all want to go viral. And I get it. A lot of the fans online are going after a lot of the critics, but that's their opinion. If you went to go see the movie and you liked it, go see the movie. So then it said overseas, Universal is reporting from 82 territories, 111.4 million, excluding Korea and Japan, adding it up, and we're at 206.4 million. So that basically means in 3 days, it made back its budget. Because remember, y'all heard the budget is $200 million, is how they spent. And that was because of the reshoots. They had to add more. It was 150 million at first. And then with the reshoots and everything, it's a little over 200 million. So it made back its budget. Now it just needs, I think it needs to at least do say close to 700 million in order to make even. Do I think it's going to be $1 billion film? Now, Lord, I sound like John Campia because he get on my damn nerves every time he bring up billion. Is it going to make $1 billion? I'm like, damn, does everything got to make a fucking billion? But if you're spending that kind of money, if you're spending $200 million on a film, then it's like, okay, now we need to exploit it. But everything ain't got to be in a $1 billion territory. But to answer the question, because now I sound like a damn hypocrite. Do I think that Michael has the potential to become a billion-dollar film? No, I do not. I think after people see this film, there's some people, the fans, the hardcore fans will sit and go repeated viewings just because they like the what do you call it? Like the surface aspect of it, meaning the performances and the dancing and the music and just feeling that nostalgia-ness of it. I think that's what people will enjoy. But when you start to peel back the onion and you start looking for, okay, what's the story? Was this? Was that? Y'all gonna find that boring. And I guarantee you, a lot of these people that talk about this movie is so great, y'all gonna be fast forwarding through all that shit regarding Michael getting beat by Joe, which he does in the beginning of the film. And then there's references to the beatations and stuff going on throughout the movie and all the story stuff y'all gonna be fast forwarding through just to get to the musical numbers. I know that's what's gonna happen with most people. So, I mean, unless you are one of those that's like, yeah, you like every aspect of it. But I think for the most average person, that like upon repeat viewings, they're gonna go back to just watching the video stuff or just the performances because it was good seeing Jafar Jackson playing that up. So now, I said, where was I? Now, they said the first day previews of Michael stateside, as well as opening weekend, are the best Lionsgate has had since 2015's The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, with 45.5 million, and far and away the best post-COVID opening day and weekend the Santa Monica, California studio has seen. Funny enough, we got another Hunger Games movie coming out this year, a prequel with Hamish as the lead. So it'll be interesting to see how that movie does when it comes out. It looks good, by the way. So now they said Michael has easily won the dance off between musical biopic openings, well ahead of Straight Outta Compton with 60.2 million. Sidebar: since we talking about Straight Outta Compton, do y'all know we getting a Snoop Dogg biopic? I'm looking forward to seeing that. And they're betting now, and the way Snoop Dogg is, because everybody loves Snoop at this point. Even my mother loves Snoop, and she's not a big hip hop head, or just she's not really, or she as she calls it that rap crap. But I get it. She is of a certain demographic. My mother was born in the 50s, so um they're not gonna understand hip hop. They're gonna think it's like, oh, that rebel rousing music. But she loves Snoop. And it's like even your average person loves Snoop. So when they do that Snoop Dogg biopic, y'all better not water down the stuff he did. Cause child, if we go back into the archives and we bring up some of the stuff Snoop did back in the day, and y'all go and try to gloss over that like he was some angel, oh no, the fans are not gonna want to have that. So they gotta go in with the warts and all with him. So I just want to let y'all know in case y'all didn't know about that. But now they said also is the biggest opening ever for director Antoine Fuqua, far ahead of Equalizer 2 with $36 million. It's also the biggest opening for producer Graham King, ahead of both World War Z with 66.4 million and Bohemian Rhapsody with 51 million. I already told y'all to think about Graham King allegedly coming in and shooting the rest of the movie because Antoine Fuqua and a lot of the behind the scenes drama he stepped away from the film, as well as screenwriter John Logan, best in the 007 title Skyfall with 88.3 million. Now, big cheers here for Lionsgate Motion Picture Group chair Adam Fogelson, who got this tentpole across the finish line amid the legal snafus with the estate and the dramatized accuser, as well as the third act reshoots. Quite the needle to thread, with the sweat paying off with a blockbuster here and the potential for a second film. History has shown that these movies that have the most challenging behind the scenes, i.e., The Godfather, Chinatown, Titanic, to give examples, turn out to be the titles which are for the ages. Though Michael first arrived at the studio during the Joe Drake administration, Joe Drake? Who's Joe Drake? They said first arrived at the studio during the Joe Drake administration. Oh, they must have been somebody that worked behind the scenes. They said many studios have had passed as they feared the controversy of a Jackson biopic. Lionsgate had the guts to greenlight. It was a scenario similar to Hunger Games, which Lionsgate had the cojones to make, as rivals were concerned about an IP in which kids fiercely battled with one another. So have y'all never heard of Battle Royale? That was a huge hit, which some people, Quentin Tarantino, accused that movie of being a ripoff of Battle Royale. And it said guts are paying off. Lionsgate in its testament to the culture and the studio's leadership have created, saying the record-breaking performance is a testament to the incredible filmmaking team of producer Graham King and Antoine Fuqua, an amazing cast led by Jafar Jackson's singular performance, our world-class partners at Universal, the cooperation and support of the Michael Jackson estate, and our tireless and exceptionally talented Lionsgate team. This is what Fogelman said in a statement. Above all, it reflects the tremendous outpouring of love and affection from moviegoers around the world, underscoring the strength and vitality of the theatrical box office. If you give audiences what they want, they will come. Well, they said if you build it, they will come. What movie was that from? Field of Dreams? So far overseas, Michael is number 4 in 64 countries, setting all-time opening weekend records for a musical biopic in 63 of those. Top performing countries are UK with 13.8 million on Sunday, France estimated cum of 10.3 million by Sunday, Mexico with 9.3 million by Sunday, Italy estimated 8.1 million by Sunday, and Germany 6.9 million by Sunday. The pick rolls out in the hot Jackson territory of Japan via Kino and Lionsgate in June. So damn, they getting late. Now, Cinema Square the Friday night polling for Michael remains A minus, but on Screen Engine slash ComScore's post track, definite recommend has risen from 84% and a 90% positive. Wow, kids, they said, wow, kids under 12 graduated. Sorry, damn, I can't even read today. Kids under 12 graded the movie 88% positive and a 62% must see right away. Well, I do agree with that. It should be seen right away, and I definitely think that it's a good film. I hate when people say like it's a horrible movie. It should get like 28% or whatever. It's not. It's like if you will have a good time at the movies. It's enjoyable. It flies by. It doesn't feel long. The performances and everything was good, especially like I said with the two Michaels and Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson. I felt like he was good. I do think Nia Long's character was underwritten, and the rest of the siblings they were just like background fodder. That's basically what they were. So now black moviegoers, because we should get into that. Oh, they said IMAX and premium large format screens are driving a massive 48% of the US weekend ticket sales. And they said 60% from IMAX alone, 32% from PLFs. And I said this, go see this I haven't seen it in IMAX. I saw it in Dolby yesterday. Go see it in Dolby with the surround sound, the big screen and everything. It looks good seeing it on a large screen with great audio. So go see it in that. I didn't want to see if I'm going to see a Michael movie, I didn't want to see it in just some regular little theater that seats 200 people and it's got a small ass screen and the screen looked a little janky. I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see it on the best possible screen. Now they said black moviegoers are still, of course, are still leading with 38%, followed by Latino, Hispanic at 26%, Caucasians 24%, and Asians at 6%. Still a very female-leaning movie at 61%. Broken down demos are women over 25 at 41%, 92% positive. Men over 25 at 24%, 89% positive. Women under 25 at 20%, 93% positive, and men under 25 at 15%, 84% positive. So it's doing well. People are loving it. Now they said the entire U.S. Canada box office is clicking past 2.6 billion, a 17% jolt over the January 1st, April 26th period. But I was saying like there's a lot of really good movies coming out this year, so I definitely see that the U.S. I mean that the box office this year is going to be great. I don't know what's going to happen with Warner Brothers because now with the whole Ellisons and that correspondence dinner, you saw Glasses, Barry White's, and all of them up in there. So yeah, CBS was up in there kissing Trump ass per usual. That's going to be a mess. And obviously, still trying to put the kibosh down. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen. This Warner's merger, but overall, Michael was good. Go see the film despite its flaws. And I think I told y'all what the flaws was. I ain't gonna go through it again. But yeah, I felt like flaws and all, it's a relatively good time at the theater. So go see the film in the theater. In Dolby, preferably. Or if you want to see it in IMAX, go see it in IMAX. But don't go see it in just some old regular theater like an average person who doesn't give a fuck about quality of film. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Did you see the Michael movie? What are your overall thoughts? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What were the things that you hope that they would have focused more on? I was not expecting to do like a damn near probably over 30-minute video on it, but when you talk about Michael Jackson, we have to break it down on all the nuances and things of that nature. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. I heard the Michael movie was booty. I mean, Jafar Jackson had a big old booty in that movie. I was like, I didn't know he had all that ass behind him. I said, I don't listen to critics because they always up there behind being nitpicky. They don't even make films, so they shouldn't be talking. More people need to stop being yeah. And here's the thing: the difference between me and them. I went to film school. I understand how difficult it is to put a movie together. It is not easy trying to come up with a story and trying to film things and stitch it together and make a good project out of it. There have been things that I've recorded even from my classes where did a phenomenal job on putting it together. Like there's a documentary. Child, let me tell you, this is how much I love Madonna. I went in one of my projects for school. Well, I did an EPK for a friend of mine, DJ Tennessee. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. Also, I did a video call, and I don't know if it might be on YouTube. I have to look it up. I've been thinking about this the other day because it crossed my mind. Called Confessions of a Madonna Fan. This was during the Confessions era. So yeah, damn, I've been out of college that damn long. Jesus. Um, And so I did a video on one of my friends who was like a big Madonna fan. And I did the video Confessions of Madonna fan. I to this day I still am mad at myself because I made this mistake. You remember the line, what was it? Poor is the man whose pleasures depend on the permissions of another. And I put the wrong title of where that phrase came from at the bottom, and it still bothers me to this day that I made that mistake. So there's little things that when you do things, and then I remember I did this other project about a gay man who ran a church, and I didn't like how the project came out because I felt like at the end of the day, when I was putting it together, I didn't get enough stuff from the church. So that video didn't come out well. So yeah, you have these things where it's like it's not easy putting a film together. So I understand when I'm talking about film and all this other stuff. I don't want to be too overly harsh with some of the stuff. But if your movie is straight up ass, oh no, I'm going in and letting have. So I would try to find the silver lining in something, even if it sucks. But no, this movie is not a bad movie. It was just some a lot of the performances. It is used to cover up a weak script. But like I said, go see it anyway for yourself. Um, at least they covered the Pepsi fire where it alluded here is where the drug. Yeah, that's another thing too, because they did say that was another thing I forgot to mention too. So I was like, yeah, that's because I was thinking, I was like, so is this where the drug addiction started? Because I remember at one point they were trying to tell him to take all these painkillers and stuff. And he was like, no, I don't want to take no painkillers. They said, you're going to be in a lot of pain because it literally burnt his scalp to the point where you could see like his brain or whatever. And they had to do all kinds of stuff to repair that area. And then he was talking about the wigs and what he had to do. Also, the nose jobs. We saw the plastic surgery happening and things. He told his father it was for his sinuses. Child, you was doing it because, the whole big nose thing that comes with black folks. Even the doctor told him, he was like, you have a great nose. Why do you want to mess it up or whatever? He wanted to be perfect. And he says that as a lie, he said, okay, you're the boss. So starts making the drawings on his nose, and then he comes home with the bandage on his face, trying to sneak in and heads to his room, and then Joe calls him and he's like, you know, then he's like that deer in the headlights. Had to turn around and walk over to Joseph, which I always found funny that they called their father by his name. I'm like, is that Jehovah Witness thing? I always got to find a way to throw Rebe Jackson in the conversation. Hey, you said Latoya messy tease. Yeah, I think Janet doesn't get her flowers as often. I think she paved the way for pop stars incorporating choreography. Her and Madonna are the queen of pop for me. Agreed. I mean, definitely Janet has a lot of influence in what she was doing music wise because a lot of the girls take from her. So I'm not going to dismiss Janet in a lot of ways. I just always want to have a certain point Janet to evolve. Michael's creepy. It's that title for me. He said, I think people prefer 12 to 15 episodes. Only reason why they do big screens is because the Oscars. The Princess State also whitewashed the Netflix series. Oh, and yeah, we ain't even getting that. So, yeah, but here's the thing. When you look at this movie, well, you're saying because of the whole Oscar thing, it's no shade Lionsgate, but there ain't no Oscar buzz gonna be around this movie. And if it is, I'm gonna be shocked. Because to me, I felt Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson was a little too cartoonish. So, yeah, he was playing up the parts of being like the asshole father, but I was rolling my eyes so many times during that performance, and more like you're just being borderline annoying the way they was playing him up. Jafar Jackson, the way he did bring a little nuance and vulnerability to Michael, I definitely thought he was good. Who knows? Maybe he'll get a nomination, but I can't see this movie get any kind of Oscar nomination except for maybe visuals or whatever the case is. I don't know. It's too early to say. Oh, you talking about that? What the hell is that boy name? Prince was abusive. Oh yeah, I remember hearing stories about Prince. Not the actor made you queef. But anyway, so yeah, we have that Michael stuff that we talk about. We got to get into this other stuff because while everybody running around talking about the allegations and it wasn't brought up in the movie, this story has recently come out courtesy of I think it was Variety. So yeah, so of course, with all of this going on with Michael, the abuse allegations have resurfaced, and so now, even though they didn't talk about it in the movie. Who knows? Maybe they'll talk about it, like I said, in part two if we get that one. And I do feel like that's what they should have did. Maybe y'all should have called it Michael Part One or Michael Part Two, kind of like Doom, where they doing that. They maybe y'all should have did that because it was kind of misleading with the movie where it's y'all say Michael and that's it and it's like, so we not like people didn't even know where it was going to end. How it ends is just abrupt. It feels a little anticlimactic. But this isn't anticlimactic because it's still ongoing. Now, Michael Jackson's estate is facing a new wave of M word allegation. You know, we got to be careful when we say things on YouTube, but you know what it is. The allegations leveled at the late pop star, this time from four siblings from New Jersey, who say they were groomed and abused for years, that many handlers in Jackson's entourage willingly enabled it all. Now, the lawsuit of the four siblings, three brothers and a sister, were filed in February in LA federal court. It gained attention on Friday after the plaintiffs gave an extensive interview to the New York Times about the alleged abuse and legal manipulation that the family claims they endured at the hands of the Jackson estate long after the superstar's death in 2009. Oh, I need more details on that. When they was talking about that and during the head, because I was sitting there saying, because at first I was going to say, why are we still talking about this? The man is dead. He's not here to defend himself. So what are you planning on gaining from this? But since you elaborated and said at the end that you said that they endured legal manipulation and abuse at the hands of the estate long after his death in 2009, then that might be grounds for a lawsuit. So now the complaint names the Jackson estate and the attorneys who lead it, John Branco, who is portrayed in the movie by Miles Teller, and John McLean, the private investigator Herman Weisberg as defendants. The complaint asserts that Weisberg and the lawyers affiliated with Jackson were falsely presented to the Casio family as representing their interest in negotiating a settlement with the estate. The complaint includes disturbing details of alleged abuse committed while Jackson was traveling in the U.S. and abroad on concert tours. It alleges that Jackson also abused the four siblings in their own home in New Jersey when Jackson was visiting with his own children. And there is a picture of Michael with the family. I should have put that picture up for y'all to see. Michael and the family and Prince back when he had blonde hair looking like Gage from Pet Cemetery. That's how blonde his hair looked. I don't even know if was he dyeing the kid's hair, whatever. Now, reps for the estate are calling the suit a desperate money grab and shakedown attempt, which is always what they always say when it comes to not just the Jacksons, but everybody. Whatever it comes, it's a shakedown. It's a money grab. Who was it that said? Oh, didn't they say that with Diddy too? And look where the diddler is. But you can't dig up Michael and put him in prison if he's guilty of all of this. Now, Michael Jackson was a serial child predator, their words, not mine, over the course of more than a decade. Drugged, R-worded, and S.A.'d each of the plaintiffs, beginning with some of them were as young as 7 or 8. Jackson's attacks on these siblings went on for extended periods, including in locations around the world, and when Jackson and his children were guests in plaintiff's family home. This is according to the complaint. Jackson groomed and brainwashed each plaintiff without the knowledge of the others or their parents throughout their childhood years. The plaintiffs, who are now adults, are Edward Joseph Casio, Dominic Savini Casio, Marie Nicole Port, and Aldo Casio. The complaint states the children or the family came into contact with the superstar through their father, who was described as having worked at a luxury hotel where Jackson frequently stayed. The siblings maintain the abuse started when they were as young as 7 and continued throughout their teenage years. The complaint asserts that the Casio's parents were unaware of the abuse and were also subject to emotional manipulation in order to maintain Jackson's access to the siblings. Now, the Casio family has come forward with this story on the day of the opening of Lionsgate Jackson biopic Michael, which is expected to perform well at the box office this weekend. So, yeah, we talked about that already. We don't need to elaborate on that again. He said the lawsuit is a desperate money grab, and said the additional members of the Casio family. The family staunchly defended Michael Jackson for more than 25 years, attesting to his innocence of inappropriate conduct. The new court filing is a transparent forum shopping tactic in their scheme to obtain hundreds of millions of dollars from Michael's estate and companies. This is what Marty Singer, the attorney, said, who represents the estate. The Casios spent decades defending and affirming Michael's innocence. Notably, these shakedown attempts come more than 15 years after Michael's death, thus carrying no risk of being sued for defamation. Sadly, in death, just as in life, Michael's talents and success continue to make him a target. Well, if they were staunchly defending him, didn't Wade Robson do the same thing? And then all of a sudden, Wade Robson coming out here along with James Safechuck, these allegations that did a whole documentary on it. I don't even think that documentary is even available to watch on HBO, because wasn't that where it was before? I don't even think you could watch it if you wanted to pop it on right away. So then they said the Casio lawsuit paints a lurid picture of Jackson giving the siblings drugs and alcohol and exposing them to child pornography, all to help facilitate the abuse and manipulation. Saying Jackson insinuated himself into the lives of plaintiffs and their parents with obsessive attention, lavish gifts, access to his celebrity lifestyle, and declarations that he loved and needed each of them. After the abuse started, he isolated them emotionally and sometimes physically from responsible adults and from each other. He plied them with drugs and alcohol, showed them, the P word, as an pornography, including pictures of unclothed children to normalize the abuse and desensitize them. He made them fear and distrust others by convincing them that not only his life, but also the lives of their family members would be destroyed if anyone found out what he was doing to them. He was also depicted as conniving and quick to use his wealth and fame to overwhelm the family. And then he said he insinuated himself into the plaintiff's family life. He spent holidays and special occasions, including Thanksgiving, Christmas, and his own birthday, with plaintiffs and their family, often during lengthy stays at their New Jersey home with his own children. Jackson gained plaintiff's sympathy by complaining about his own childhood and telling them repeatedly that he lacked a bond with his own family and that they were his true family. Jackson secured plaintiff's loyalty and acceptance of the abuse with rewards, including unique access to his celebrity lifestyle and increasingly extravagant presence. These included suitcases full of video games and electronics, private shopping trips to toy stores, exclusive visits to theme parks, introductions to other celebrities, and interstate and international travel. The travel included extended concert tours during which Jackson's organization assured Jackson the privacy he needed for his sexual assaults. Oh, there's a lot more, child. So they also went on to say the complaint offers disturbing specific details about the abuse claims, including incidents at the homes of Jackson's famous friends, Elizabeth Taylor and Elton John, as well as Jackson's Santa Barbara area compound known as Neverland Ranch, saying he made two young boys under his care watch him abuse Marie Nicole and told her the abuse he inflicted on her was a normal thing between a man and a woman. The complaint states Jackson used child friendly language to appeal to plaintiffs to conceal the assaults and drug and alcohol use from others. Can I have a meeting? Yogi T, Neverland, and go to Disneyland were his code words for encouraging the children to engage in extreme sex acts with him. Those acts were as bad as, if not worse than, anything that could be described or imagined. He called wine, oh yeah, I remember hearing about this. He called wine Jesus juice and hard liquor Disney juice. He associated alcohol with playing, including by encouraging plaintiffs to drink with him while they were in the basement of his Neverland Ranch game room, which he called the wine cellar. The suit takes square aim at those in Jackson's inner circle, accusing them of failing to act despite of signs of abuse and wholly inappropriate behavior. Now, Jackson's organization members constantly encountered evidence of Jackson's sexual activities with plaintiffs. They're saying they saw Jackson bring victims, including plaintiffs, to spend nights at his private bedrooms. They did the children bedding and laundry. They brought adult cinematography and photographs of unclothed children to Jackson. They procured drugs and alcohol that they knew Jackson was going to give the plaintiffs to make them comply to his demands. They saw plaintiffs and other children inebriated in alcohol-induced stupors. They regularly witnessed Jackson's inappropriate displays of affection at plaintiffs, including Jackson fondling his victims in public spaces at Neverland Ranch and elsewhere. They showed Jackson orders not to disturb him when he was alone with plaintiffs, knowing that he was violating them sexually. They instilled security cameras at Neverland designed to prevent outsiders from discovering Jackson's crimes. And this is all alleged. The family became legally entangled with the Jackson estate in 2019 after the HBO docuseries Leaving Neverland was released on HBO. I think this is the one I was talking about is no longer available on there. The series explored unrelated SA claims by two men who were minors when they first encountered Jackson. And in 2019, they said that the estate proactively sought to reach a settlement with the Casio family. In the court of negotiating the agreement, the complaint alleges that lawyers Howard Weitzman, who died in 2021, and Brian Freeman misled the family into believing they were representing their interests when in fact they were working for the Jackson estate. The same claim is made about private investigator Weisberg, who was a key conduit for the 2019 agreement. Freeman, who was not named as a plaintiff, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Now, although the Casio siblings and parents had previously publicly defended Jackson against the molestation allegations that followed the star in the last 15 years of his life, the family informed Wiseman and Freeman in 2019 of the abuse inflicted on the siblings. The estate initially offered $100,000 for each of the four siblings. The final well, damn, that's it. Well, they said the final settlement called for each of the four to receive 690,000 a year for 5 years. In a statement, the estate put the figure at 2.8 million for each sibling. In 2024, the complaint states the Casio family was contacted by Weisberg with the message that Bronco was willing to increase the estate's compensation and make further arrangements to ensure plaintiffs' continued silence, per the complaint. After the family retained outside counsel in 2025, the Jackson estate filed a legal petition to compel arbitration with the Casios. As part of the filing, I should say, the Casio family maintains that the estate violated the non-disclosure agreements of the 2019 agreement, or the non-disclosure terms of the agreement. So they literally have a full statement from the Jackson estate attorney, Marty Singer and Lavely and Singer, basically saying it's a money grab, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So we don't need to go through all of that. But at this point, um, honestly, I do not know what to believe at this point. Um, Michael is not here to defend himself. I just don't see what they're going to get out of this. Like, is it a pay me for my pain situation? I mean, is that what we're going for? Or is it like you want to let people know the type of monster, according to you, that Michael was. And it's funny because it's like I said before, when we watch the movie, you don't get any inclination that there was some dark side to Michael. And that's something that they need to, I don't know, maybe they'll address that in the next movie, whatever the case is. But literally, this is a whole he said, she said situation. Hold on, because I'm trying to pull up this damn picture, but um of the Casio family with Prince up in the picture. That's why I was literally like working on that while I'm trying to give my overall thoughts. But when I was trying to convert it, damn thing's taking too freaking long. But hold on, let me pull that up so y'all can see this picture that I was talking about. So yeah, it's this one, and right here in the blonde, you see that's supposed to be little Prince Michael Jackson, and then that's the rest of the Casio family. So yeah, like I said before, it's like it's literally a he said she said thing. It's your word against theirs. I don't know what is gonna happen with this whole thing. We'll see how this all plays out in the courts. And it's sort of like even down to the movie where everybody was expecting them to even talk about the alleged allegations. I don't know what to believe. I mean, it's always he said, she said, or he said type of situation. So it's just I don't know. I just maybe we'll go with our gut, go with our opinion. I don't know. I like the music. I like Michael Jackson. I'm not but if he did do these things and he's a despicable monster, but at the end of the day, like I said before, he's not here to defend himself. The man is no longer in the union. He's been dead since 2019. So almost 20 years he's been dead. So yeah, almost 20, almost had a brain fart. It's like 2019, 2029. So yeah, almost 20 years. He's almost been dead. So what are you gonna do? We'll just have to see how this all plays out. And in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story regarding these allegations stemming from the Casio family against Michael Jackson? And now it's even heating up more because of him, the big Michael movie coming out the box office. And the family is going to make big bank off of this film. So whatever your thoughts are, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. That's a good, yeah, you said where were the parents and all this when they were growing up? Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's like, a lot of times parents just be because of who the big celebrity is. Oh, we trust them. We just throw the kids off to whoever the celebrity is and go at it. It's like I don't give a damn if you was Jesus Christ. I'm not leaving them alone with you. My kids alone. Like God forbid anything happen. Dear Lord. So ironically, nobody believes the Casio family because they sold fake Michael Jackson tracks. And once they got removed from the Michael album, they changed their minds because they weren't making. Yeah, that's what I'm sure it is a money grab. They're not going to walk away with anything. But now they told me they were going to settle. My thing is, if y'all know that Michael was innocent, stop giving money away. Stop settling because it gives it. The perception is it looks like you're guilty. I'm like, well, we just gonna have to go to court. I'm just gonna have to spend all this money on a trial. But these motherfuckers is lying. If you lying on me and talk about I sexually abused you, oh no, we going to court. I'm not playing with you. My ego gonna be as big as Blake Lively's. But except I'm not an asshole like she is. So I know he was accused when he was alive and proven innocent. But why after he's dead? I mean, when it comes to these celebrities, nothing surprised me. Yeah, that's what I said. I don't even. I'm not surprised by anything anymore. You said a fan sued Sony with and the estate over fake Michael Jackson tracks. The Casio tracks were found to be fake. Yes, he was. Child, I've been telling people that for years. I was like, Wade Robinson was out here messing with Britney, and it took until she wrote it in a book for it to be confirmed. I was like, girl, we knew. I've been shouting that for I said the reason why that whole thing happened around the Crimea River era. I was like, yeah, because it was allegedly Wade Robinson slept with Britney. But then we come find out the real story that Justin was the one running around laying low and spreading it wide because he was, becoming this big superstar. His ego became the size of Nashville. And he decided to go off and wanted to kind of be, Mr. Faux shiz, and hook up with whatever girl was throwing coochie at him. And it's thought because Brittany was this Southern belle that she was going to just take whatever. Speaking of which, maybe we need a because I want to show you I got the book. We need a biopic on Brandy's phases, a memoir. That's what we need. We need a biopic on that. Brandy can play herself. I just find it odd. It's the siblings or the oldest of the oldest sibling. What does Eddie think of all this? No, Janet's not in the movie. All you see is Latoya. All right, y'all. So now we got some more messy SA news. Let's get into this David story. So more stuff came out. They did an autopsy, found that there was some significant amount of stab wounds that was on this young girl's body, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And now they're talking about that they found, and I'm not surprised by this at all, because if you out here seeking out and hunching underage girls as young as 14, then would you be surprised that you would find child adult cinematography on their drive, be it a phone, a laptop, plugged in at home on a desk computer and all that stuff? Like, I'm not surprised by this at all, but let's get into the tea. So David sat impressively in a impassively, sorry, because I was saying impressively. I'm like, how else was he going to sit? Impassively in an LA courtroom Thursday as a prosecutor revealed his iCloud account obtained by investigators. And once y'all be deleting stuff, it still be up in there, contains a significant amount of child pornography. Now, despite the bombshell announcement, the platinum selling. First of all, I couldn't name not one damn song this man sold, but they said he platinum. So the platinum selling rapper born David Anthony Burke and his lawyers signaled they're still pushing for an immediate preliminary hearing in his first degree red rum case. The judge then set a follow-up hearing for April 29th to go over evidence production. The first day of his preliminary hearing, a mini trial that will review evidence in open court, is set for, well, they said was set. So is that past tense or no? But it's May 1st, which is literally coming up this week. Saying it's been an informative hearing, Marilyn Bednarski, a defense lawyer, told the court as her client watched while wearing an orange jail uniform, his left wrist shackled to his chair. Berg spoke only to consent and intermittent interruptions of his preliminary hearing, allowing the court to address other pending matters. His other lawyer, Blair Burke, placed a hand on his shoulder before Judge Charlene Olmedo warned Burke not to miss the morning bus from jail for his not to miss the morning bus, child, for his next hearing. The clock is ticking on his right to a preliminary hearing within 10 days of being charged. Burke was arrested last week and charged Monday with unaliving Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the 14-year-old California girl found dismembered and badly decomposed in the front trunk of his towed Tesla last September. On Thursday, Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman revealed that investigators got a wiretap as part of the probe, and there were 3 grand juries convened to investigate, not to indict, but to investigate the case. She said the panels were held in November, December, and February, saying, quote, there is a voluminous amount of digital data in the case, she said, adding that despite 5 weeks of work, LAPD investigators had uploaded only about 30% of their evidence to a system accessible to the defense. Saying, quote, today is exactly 1 year since the death of Celeste, and based on that, we want this case to proceed quickly. This is what Silverman told the court. Once the defendant reviews the discovery, we'll be eager to set the case for the trial within a 60-day period as well. Now, on Wednesday, the LA County Medical Examiner released a long awaited autopsy report concluding that Rivas died from multiple penetrating injuries to the upper abdomen. The 26-page report describes 2 stab wounds, one to the right abdomen and perforated that perforated the. Oh, wow, all of a sudden I cannot talk today. Okay, let's try that again. Now, the 26-page report describes two stab wounds, one to the right abdomen that perforated the liver, and another to the left chest that penetrated the intercostal space. The cause of death is multiple penetrating injuries. The matter of death is classified as a homicide. And this is according to the statement, revealing that the cause of death was determined back on December 9th, 2025. Damn, that's my grandfather's birthday. Toxicology testing found a low level, may he rest in peace. Toxicology testing found a low level of ethanol that did not appear to contribute to Revis's death, and presumptive positives for benzodiazepines, methamphetamine, and MDMA, which will require further confirmation. The report was released after law enforcement obtained a prior court order blocking his disclosure, a move that medical examiners' offices opposed, saying it hindered transparency. Now, after several months, I'm grateful this information can now be released. This is according to the chief medical examiner, Dr. Ode Ukpo. This is what they said in the statement. Now, they said it's unfathomable Reva's parents have had to wait this long to learn what happened to their daughter. Well, maybe what we really need to be discussing is the fact that a black man killed a young Hispanic girl, and of course, um, and I hate having to do this, but we got to in this day and age. If she were a young white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes, oh, they would have moved heaven and earth to find out what the hell happened to that girl. But because this is a young Hispanic girl, y'all don't care. So Hispanics, y'all running around here trying to get that close proximity to whiteness. Y'all need to stop it because they don't see y'all for what you think you want to be seen as. We are all in this together, us colored folk. So the findings add detail to the conditions of Revis's remains. The report notes that her limbs were dismembered into several fragments. Her head was partially skeletonized with a missing eye, and soft tissue showed signs of liquefaction. She could not be fingerprinted due to waterlogged fingers. Now, Revis's body was discovered 7 months ago in two black bags hidden in the front trunk of the Tesla after it was towed from an upscale section of the Hollywood Hills. Authorities said little about the investigation during the time. Burke has been charged with one count of first degree red rum with special circumstances, including lying in wait and financial gain, as well as separate counts involving sexual acts with a minor and mutilation of human remains. He pleaded not guilty at his arraignment. Prosecutors say Rivas was last seen entering Burke's Hollywood Hills home on April 23rd, 2025, and was not heard from again. They contend she was unalive that day, and they use the K word, and had her body and that her body was mutilated on or about May 5th. And that's the funny thing. When it comes to crime scene investigations or whatever the case is, forensics, oh, they can determine dates and numbers and all that other stuff, which is what we couldn't do back in the day. But it's gotten so high tech now that they can determine around the time when somebody was actually decomposed or dismembered or whatever the case is. So the autopsy report also outlines evidence collection, noting that investigators swabbed the handles and zippers of the bags holding her remains and recovered small blue plastic pieces at the cut sites on her arms and legs. Now, Burke's lawyer said in a statement that their client did not red rum Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of, okay, child, you guilty. He did it, allegedly. I'm going to say alleged because he looked weird. And my thing on top of that is the fact that how you say he didn't kill her when in fact they found all his child sexual stuff on it in his iCloud. So explain that. So you was sitting there grooming and inviting a 14-year-old to come over to your house. She ran away from home to go to your place thinking, I don't know what she was thinking doing that, but a lot of time when these girls ain't got no, your frontal lobe hasn't fully developed. And you a grown ass man, so you should have known better being over here encountering and grooming this young girl into whatever it is that you told her. I don't know if there's text messages or things out there that they could look into that may have given story to their relationship, which led up to him taking her life. But if you have, but it's just after all of this, if he didn't take her life, explain the child pornography. We gotta use. You already know how it is with the algorithms on YouTube, so you gotta choose your words carefully. That's why I've been saying so. So, if any people that not normally aware of this show, why are you calling it this? And why? That's why. because I'm not trying to get a no yellow thing on my thing and I can't monetize this topic. So, so got to be careful when you're saying things on here. So, yeah, so it is unfortunate. This is crazy. We'll just see how this story pans out as they continue to go through the whole case and the trial and whatever the case is, where it leads up. I'll definitely be keeping abreast of the story as it develops. I'm just glad that the parents got some closure on the fact of what happened to their child. But I think the real closure will happen once he is locked up and thrown in jail for the rest of his life. Or who knows? They're trying to push for the death penalty. We'll see how that we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but that'll be a little bit of the closure. But the closure will never be that they lost a kid. They're never going to see their daughter again. This is an unfortunate situation. So that there's always going to be this hole in the parents' heart that they have to deal with. But it's good to know that they have the closure of knowing what happened to their child. They found their child, and now they got a suspect in custody. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story about D4VD? Stupid ass name. Your name is David Chair. So whatever your thoughts are on this matter, let me know in the comments down below. I was in a Discord server right when this story broke in September with ex David Stams, and a lot of us came to the conclusion he premeditated her murder years before she was killed. He had a kink for I've heard people say that a lot if you listen to a lot of his music and his visuals and stuff, he had this kink for doing gory shit. And he probably lured this girl to live this whole fantasy and reenact his kink that he had on this innocent kid who was unaware of what was going to happen to her. So it's giving very much. Damn, what was that movie that just came out with Dacre Montgomery, where they just made it was a remake, very much like a snuff film of in a lot of ways, or very hostile esque. So there was that you said his manager was in the same home she was at too. So they know something, so he probably helped. Especially, when you have these faces of death. Thank you. So when you have these enablers on your payroll and they know the things, they're a part of the cover up. I do wonder if they knew about all this, they covered it up. I mean, are they going to jail too? Inquiring minds want to know. Now, speaking of somebody that ass need to be in jail, let's talk about this creature from the Black Lagoon. Let's get into Russell Brand. So, Russell Brand is being accused of R wording and SA in the UK, multiple charges. So, while he's should be dealing with that case and trying to prove his innocence, this moron decides to go on Megyn Kelly long-headed ass show and reveals that he had consensual sex with a 16-year-old. Let's get into this story. So shout out to Rolling Stone for this. Now, speaking of long-head ass Megyn Kelly, the actor addressed the allegation that he was taking advantage of 16-year-old girls, as the host put it. This is also the same woman who tried to move the goalposts when it came to the whole Trump thing and 14-year-olds or adults or whatever the case. That stupid shit she said. I was like, okay, then leave your child alone, because I'm sure she got kids. Leave your daughters alone with these people in the regime. I guarantee you won't. So it's funny how they like to move the goalposts, but when it's one of theirs, they draw the line. So um yeah, so she brought up the whole thing about the 6-year-olds, and he said, I did sleep with a 16-year-old when I was 30. He said, 30. When I was 30, I had sex with a 16-year-old. And so when I was 30, I always pegged him. He sounds like Veruca Salt from from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Oh, but anyway, so he said, I did sleep with a 6-year-old when I was 30. When I was 30, I was a very different person. Yeah, you was a grown ass man fucking a 16-year-old, where you should know better. Your frontal lobe is fully developed. I didn't even finish the sentence. I'm already tight. But I mean his quote, and I'm already annoyed. But it was just like, you're a 30-year-old man with a 16-year-old. Your frontal lobe is fully developed. You're well aware of what's going on when you're 30. Trust and believe, I was 30 once. But you trying to make excuses? Anyway, let me get into what he said, because in case y'all didn't hear it. So yeah, he said, I was a lot younger and I was an immature 30-year-old. This is what he said, adding that the age of consent in the UK is 16. Still doesn't excuse the behavior. That's literally like, oh, you waited to the legal age and then decided to pounce on this girl. But what if they moved the goalpost and was like, okay, the legal age is 14, legal age is 10, legal age is 8. We moved the goalposts. So does that excuse the behavior? Because my thing is always, as somebody who's 30, what do I get out of sleeping with a 16-year-old? Your 16-year-olds are young, they're naive, and they're impressionable. I didn't know what I was doing, and I thought I knew every damn thing when I was 16 years old. I thought I was grown. And guess I was messing around with people older than me when I was 16. Did it make it right? No. But there's a sense of immaturity there. But as an adult, you should know better to be pursuing somebody that young. So he said, consensual sex with a lot of people when there is a strong power differential, as there is when you're a famous man who has the ability to attract women that I had at the time. I think it involves exploitation. I think it is exploitative. I recognize that my sexual conduct in the past, he said, past, was selfish and I did not apply enough consideration, barely any, I suppose, really to know, to how the sex was affecting other people. Well, at least he lacks awareness or self-awareness because I do agree with all of this. He's saying all the right things. Now, do I believe him? That's another story. I feel like you probably saying all this because you're trying to save face because of this trial that's coming up. You thinking about going on Megan Kelly. This is some good PR. This might bite you in the ass, by the way, because you openly admitted to this 6-year-old. But then when you add all this extra stuff that's in there, then they'll look at it like, well, he did say that he realized like a lot of things he did in his past was selfish and he didn't take into consideration how the things he did to other people will affect them down the road. You were just getting some pussy and you thought that was enough. But and it's like you hit it, probably a hit it and quit it type, but not realizing that, especially when it comes to women, there is that emotional connection, which is why a lot of people say that men, and like when it comes to the gays, gay men, we could just go in and have sex with people, and it's not like a big, you know, we focus too much on the emotional aspect. Then there's some gays that are sensitive and getting their feelings, but for the most part, men can separate the emotion from the sex. Well, at least I can. So now, they said due to the UK's contempt of court laws, Brand did not elaborate on the allegations tied to the specific charges against him, including 2 counts of both rape and sexual assault. Shit, not supposed to use those words. The R word and SA, as well as 1 count of indecent exposure, but did not reiterate that he has had consensual sex with lots and lots of women. Did once upon a time, like even in his comedy or whatever case, remember when he was like the biggest thing on MTV? MTV loved propping up the most annoying people on the planet. First of all, I liked Ali G more than I liked some damn Russell Brand. Russell Brand was always annoying to me, and I remember that one time they had him host the VMAs. He just made my teeth itch. And then on top of that, I just feel like, he always kind of had like this whole rock star persona to him, like the way he carried himself, very much like his look with the hair and the it kind of felt like the 60s or 70s kind of aesthetic that he would wear with his suits or whatever, or his outfits. Very much had like this whole glam rock look to him. Um, I just wonder if, with this whole situation, did he have like an addiction to sex? And it just didn't matter as long as he got off or whatever the case. I'm just like trying to analyze the whole situation and get in. I know it might be a lot and it might hurt for me to get inside his head and understand the psychosis of why you did what you did with especially if they underage. But I understand it's consent. But my thing is, just because you can sleep with a 16-year-old because it's the legal age doesn't necessarily mean that you should. It also makes me wonder that, yes, the law, but clearly a man wrote this because there's always this thing about men wanting to sleep with young girls. So of course you're going to make 16 the legal age. So that's kind of what it's giving. This some old man misogynistic bullshit. Now, while he said he is atoning for his sinful past behavior, because like he shows up everywhere with a Bible now. Isn't this the MO what a lot of them do when they're accused of abuse and those other things? Oh, let me carry a Bible around. Let me do like John the Major did the same shit when he was going to trial for beating on that white woman, and then his career ended up getting ruined. So this is like an ongoing thing. Oh, let me carry the Bible. All of a sudden, I'm gonna find Jesus when I'm about to go to jail. Now, yeah, so while he said he's atoning for his sinful past behavior, he is assertively opposing the idea that this is a judicial criminal matter where consent was overridden. Actually, what happened was consent was directed. That's what's being famous and being, I may say, charismatic, forgive me, affords you. Brandon's also pleaded not guilty to all the charges against him. His essay trial is set to begin in October, saying, quote, in that trial, I'll have the opportunity, as will the people who feel wrong against, to achieve justice. And I have no problem in praying for absolute justice and the best possible outcome for everyone involved. So we'll see how this all turns out when we get around to that trial. But yeah, I'm side-eyeing this whole damn thing. But my thing, look, I just feel like in this whole situation, you should have just went and did the trial and see if you come out victorious or vindicated in the end. But if I had fucked a 60-year-old, I would have taken this to my grave. Why are you even mentioning this stuff in public where people could use this against you? If you slept with a 60-year-old, yeah, if I slept with a 60-year-old, you would never hear from me. I would have never told y'all. But I've never slept with a 60-year-old because I don't feel anything, no pleasure in fucking a child. Yes, it may be legal, but they're still a child. So now, me at 16, if I did that, and I did tell y'all I did with somebody older, that's a different story. But me preying on a 60-year-old, no, never in my life have I done that. And if somebody ever comes out and says that that happened, you's a goddamn liar. So, this whole situation was like, yeah, you should have taken, boy, you should have taken this to your grave. Everything ain't for our entertainment. Everything ain't for our eyes. Everything ain't for our consumption. So, who knows? We'll see if this bites him in the ass when that trial comes around. Oh, he went on Megan Kelly and admitted he slept with a 60-year-old. Like I said, we're just gonna have to wait until the trial comes around and see how this all turns out. But in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story regarding Russell Brand coming out here spilling tea, saying that he hunts the 60-year-old in the midst of this whole R-word trial situation that's plaguing over him, and he's about to begin that trial coming in October of this year. So whatever, when is October? What month we in? 6 months. So yeah, 6 months from now we'll be talking about this again. So in the meantime, I want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. I believe he said in the interview once that he did in fact have a oh, so then that's what I say. He might have a sex addiction. That's what it was given. That when you have these sex addictions, and of course, when there's money, celebrity, access, all these things, all of this gets presented to you. And now, years later, this kid, whoever he affected, like when he says my actions, not realizing that my actions affect those other people, it did affect someone. And now they want you to pay them for their pain. So that's probably what all this is. I'll never understand how he got famous. He is not funny, never was. Show is a lot of tea today. Tea on the Lord's Day. He said, is that why? And probably. That might be because, with her being so demure and mindful, and I side eye you when I say that. And, you know, maybe she's not maybe she's not like presenting wise, she's not that girl who's very sexually charged. It's a lot dealing with Russell. Excuse me. And my gums is itching. And I feel like it's allergy season. These allergies is kicking my butt. All right, y'all. So we got a beef to get into. Let's talk about Charlie XCX versus John Summit. So Charlie XCX the other day, we discussed it. And this was all time. Funny enough, it felt a little ill-timed because of the whole Madonna situation that came out with Madonna dropping the Confessions 2 track off of her album, I Feel So Free. And Charli made a comment that I'm working on a rock album. I guess now that she squeezed all the juice out of the lemon of dance music, now she wants to pivot to a different genre of music and basically said the dance floor is dead, which of course had John Summit, who is a well-known DJ, because it was pissing me off in the comments of, whenever you hear somebody going after your favorite artist, all of a sudden everybody turns into a fucking owl. Who? You know Google is free. You don't have to pay a dime for Google. Look it up. John Summit is a well-known international DJ. Of course I know who he is. I'm a house head. And on top of that, I worked his show. He performed, I'm trying to remember, I think he might have did 2 nights at the Garden, full DJ set. And very good looking in person. So he performed there. So that's how I knew of John Summit. And I've listened to his mix. I think he dropped a new album not too long ago. I don't know if it's an album compilation because sometimes the DJs they come out with an album like very David Guetta-esque where they get a lot of guest vocalists and they do the beats and things, or they do a DJ set and release something similar to Honey Dijon. Honey Dijon just dropped a new album, but she also does a lot of DJ mixes. And a lot of time when they drop on Apple Music, I'll be working out to them at the gym. But anyway, so he came out and said basically, when after she said the dance floor is dead, he said maybe your pop music dance floor is dead, but ours isn't, babe. And that's what she is. She's a pop music dance floor artist. So of course, with him saying all of that, gay Twitter got they nuts in a damn twist and decided to go in and let have on him. So shout out to Queer Team for putting this story together. But also it got a little weird because then they started prep shaming. I'll explain what all that is as we go through the story. So you already know when it comes to the gays, the homosexuals, body image is a serious thing. And when a lot of times when you make a little comment about you know, somebody's body type or whatever the case is, and you thinking it's harmless, it could basically turn into a distressing sign of the times. So, as I was stated before, last week, John Summit, known for his pride parties and very queer themed nights and cute little body of his, got into hot water after calling out Charli XCX for saying the dance floor is dead. Now, a controversial statement to be sure, but who would know better than Charli XCX, whose iconic album Brat scored a blissful. Wait, hold on a second. I'm a pause on that. First of all, kiss my ass, Square G, because you can't say and say a controversial statement, but sure. But who would know better than Charlie X? First of all, she don't know fucking better. Because one thing, yeah, you were great with Brat and everything, and you was over here reheating Sky Ferreira's nachos, demo nachos, by allegedly using them for the Wuthering Heights soundtrack, which it was just announced that she's doing that Wuthering Heights is coming, I think, to HBO Max. I didn't look at the date because I didn't give a damn, but I know it's coming soon. Y'all can look it up. But the dance floor isn't dead, and she's not the queen of the dance floor. Yeah, she's done like she's kind of mainstream hyper pop in a lot of ways, and she's definitely incorporated a lot of electronic elements into her pop music. But she is not the queen of the dance floor. She is not the litmus test of whether or not the dance floor is alive or dead, especially from someone as myself, who is a board certified house head who literally listens to dance music all day, every day. That is like I listen to all genres of music, but house music is literally my go-to, is my forte. It is what I listen to from sun up to sundown. When I'm in the gym, when I'm at other places, that is the foundation of the sound that I'm incorporating. So for her to say that, and for Queer T's lame asses to co-sign on that shit, y'all done lost the plot. Because the dance floor is not dead. And she doesn't know better. Um, so I take issue with that. But anyway, we can move on because I don't want to harp on that a little too much. So as I stated before, he went on under the comment. I think it was on Pop Crave where I don't know if it was her where they said he apparently took SCX's comments to heart and responded in kind and said basically, as I said before, maybe your pop music dance floor is dead, but ours isn't, babe. But since Charlie, and then they said, but since Charlie XCX's mother, yeah, okay, the gays were not about to put up somebody, Gen Z must have wrote this damn article, about to put up with this shade in an instant iconic tweet. One iconic. Y'all write one thing and it's iconic. I cannot. This article is going to irritate me more than what John Summit said and what Charlie X. But let's go through it. In an instantly iconic tweet, one poster hit back calling Summit tank top gay face. Y'all really thought you ate with that line? Tank top gay face, which is stupid because, first of all, we got a picture here of him on the right without a shirt on. So John Summit takes the shirt off. I've seen him shirtless, so I don't know what you're talking about. But that wasn't the end of it. Now, Summit doubled down on his comments by posting an IG video of himself topless, bumping that. I mean, bumping that during the set. Why? Because she says that in 360. Now they said that, well, look, so he's not, maybe he does have gay face. I know he identifies as straight, so there's that. But no, he takes his shirt off. He likes to show off his body and he baits the gays, if that's what you want to call it. But that's not where the icky part came. The icky part came when someone named CA Dreamboy posted that now they're calling him Prep Belly because Just Jim, who goes by at Jim's tweets on Twitter, said he went shirtless so people can't call him tank top gay face. And and the person I told y'all responded by saying they're calling him Prep Belly. First of all, where the hell have I been? Because I've never heard of the term Prep Belly. And what the fuck is Prep Belly? So apparently, Prep Belly is when, wait, hold on. I think it's like when you take the pills, when you take Prep, and apparently you bloat, and that's a side effect. But I'd rather have Prep Belly than HIV. So that's literally what I would be hoping on is that if I'm HIV, like if I want to prevent myself from getting HIV, I would be taking Prep. And if it bloats me, oh well, so be it. It's water bloat. What you mad for? So then they also went on to say not to be the friend that's, oh god, why do y'all keep using this word? But they said now not to be the friend that's too woke, but the whole Prep Belly thing just sounds like another way to deter gays from taking Prep, which there's already a weird stigma attached to it. It is. And then another person said a Prep Belly implying the existence of Discovy thighs. And then another person basically came out, oh, that was when this kid came out, Griffin Maxwell Brooks asked, what is Prep Belly? He also did a video. And they said, but here's where we need to be clear. Prep Belly comment was meant to be a silly, fun dunk on him. There is a darker side to the discourse. I don't think that it's cute or whatever to be making fun of somebody who's taking Prep or whatever the case is, especially if Prep can be used to prevent you from getting HIV and you getting sick. So I do have the clip of Griffin Maxwell Brooks talking about this whole thing when he asked about it. So we're going to play that clip. And Cleveland, I did get your message because this whole time I was hoping and praying it wasn't frozen. Nobody told me that I'm having freezing situations with the video, but it is what it is. We're gonna watch this video and we are going to come back and talk. Please hold on.
A video of John Summit saying that he looks like he has Prep Belly. And I did what I do best, which is turn nothing into discourse. Also, sorry, Johnny. This has basically nothing to do with you. Sorry that you're caught in the crossfires of more of my nonsensical discourse. I thought it was funny. You know, I guess I get like a little bit of like a thing going on when I take my Prep sometimes. I do think that like we need to be really careful creating stigma around medication as important as Prep, specifically in this current age of like anti-intellectualism as it regards to medicine. Like, I think that if the Republican Party was able to convince half of the country that vaccines cause autism when they don't, it feels like a distinct possibility that something as simple as like Prep makes you a little bit bloated and therefore like kind of chopped, or I think it's embarrassing that you're doing Mr. ads, you know, on your account, could end up dissuading some insecure or uninformed little gay boy in a red state where, you know, sex ed is basically non-existent from taking PrEP, from taking HIV prevention medication. And like, you know, again, am I making a mountain out of a molehill? Potentially. Do I think that in this period in which several red states are trying to get rid of state subsidization for PrEP and like that sort of HIV preventative medication under the justification that it like promotes unethical behavior because apparently being gay and having sex is unethical, like that is actively happening, which I guess is why I'm being super cautious, you know? And like at the same time, like people are refusing to wear masks and they won't get vaccinated and like basically have these crazy misconceptions about modern medicine. And I just think like we could very easily go down a very scary wormhole in which people are totally misinformed about PrEP and the medication that, you know, put a halt or like at least slowed down what I think is like the second most deadly epidemic of all time behind like the bubonic plague, you know, the AIDS crisis, which famously still going on. Like, I think that we need to be very conscious of the repercussions that that could have, you know? And I think we're very privileged. I know I'm very privileged as like a Gen Z queer person that I don't have to worry about dying of HIV, you know? But like, I'm also privileged that I live in New York and I have relationships with a lot of like queer elders. And one thing about like older gay guys, there aren't that many of them because a lot of them died. And like, maybe I'm dramatic, maybe I'm a victim of exposure in that way, but like, I think about that quite frequently. And like, when I see sort of just any kind of discourse that, you know, makes me think that we're going down this path in which people are going to not take PrEP for whatever reason, whether it's the way that it could affect them or not thinking it's important or thinking that it's like a sign of like promiscuity that makes you like less valuable as a gay person. Like, I think we need to squash all of those. And I think that like sometimes maybe I'm the woker, but even joking about it just feels like unnecessary, potentially worrisome. I don't know, y'all.
Well, I do. I have to say, I do agree with him on that. The video was about to end anyway, but yeah, I definitely agree with him on that. And you know what would really impress me because I didn't notice about him. I never heard of this kid, but I guess he's really popular on social media, whatever. And like he said, he lives in New York, and he was talking about his privileges and things of that nature. But I have to agree with him that I like the idea that he's a Gen Zer who has educated himself on what had happened in the history of queer people and queer culture because he has a lot of older gay men who have informed him. It reminds me a lot of myself when I was coming up, where it was like I got informed on the history of queer culture because I was around a lot of older gay men who taught me a lot of our history. And I feel like there's a lot of people, and I don't know if they get a blank statement on this, but who don't get a lot of the history of understanding what had happened with us and where we're coming from. So yeah, I do think that you shouldn't be shaming people with, oh, PrEP bloat and making that a thing, and then people get afraid, especially if you're body conscious. And yes, we do. There's I think with I don't know if straight men deal with it. I can't speak on them, but with the homosexuals, I can speak on the fact that yeah, we all have body dysmorphia, we all have body issues. A lot of us are out here taking Ozempic or whatever type of drug to lose that extra amount of fat because look, summer's right around the corner. A lot of the girls are gonna be going out to Fire Island and that body gotta be snatched. Look, I told you I've been working hard on this body and I'm trying to do it the natural way. I don't want to resort to drugs and stuff because I always feel like that's a way of cheating. I mean, like, but look, if it comes down to the days of me wanting to get a little Botox, whatever the case is, I ain't gonna turn that down. But when it comes to the other drugs, I don't want to be taking steroids. I don't want to be taking these other things because I want to feel confident that the what I did with my body, I worked on that from hard work at the gym and diet and exercise and that sort of thing. Look, I'm at a point where I'm confident enough that I can walk around wearing crop tops. I wore one yesterday when I was in the city. After I went to see that Michael concert, I mean that Michael movie. Well, that's literally what it was. The Michael Jackson movie was outside of my little crop top because it was 65 degrees outside. And even like with me, It's like even if it's slightly chilly out, I'm always hot, which I hate. So it's like if I'm wearing something, I'm always having this fear of like if I put a hoodie on or a jacket, or whatever, I'm gonna start sweating, and then they got the sweat spots, and it's embarrassing. That's why a lot of times I don't be wanting to wear brighter colors because I'm always feeling like I'm gonna start perspiring, and then I'm gonna look gross and stuff. So I hate the fact that I sweat a lot. But nevertheless, we need more young people like him to come out and speak on behalf of the community and talk about, yeah, this is not something that's cute and y'all should be making fun of or even making it a thing where you're talking about somebody's body type or the fact that you're bloating, whatever the case is, because you already know there's a lot of eating disorders, a lot of body issues that a lot of gay men have because society always tells us that we have to look a certain way. So you can sit out here and defend mother without having to go there and body shame someone because they said something about your favorite artist that you don't like. We can all have constructive criticism about things. And my constructive criticism is Charlie is dead ass wrong for sitting up out here and saying that the dance floor is dead when it's not. Maybe you're creatively stifled because you feel like you can't follow up Brat with anything remotely creative or anything that's going to outdo Brat. So you need to pivot into a different genre of music. But I guarantee you, when she do that rock record, she will be incorporating a lot of those electronic elements. Ain't gonna be no pure damn rock record. She ain't going full Courtney Love on y'all. Because if she does, the fans will be looking at her like she lost her damn mind. She gonna go more Slater with that record than what she's doing than a pure rock record. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story on what uh this whole John Summit, Charlie XCX debacle? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Not because of his Kelly Child. She never was a dance queen. She was influenced exactly, and that's what I said. You incorporate dance elements into your music. You're not a dance music artist. When we talk about dance artists, we're talking about Crystal Waters. We're talking about Ultra Nate. We're talking about who else would we consider? I mean, Madonna, is she a dance artist? I mean, she's a pop star. The closer she came to like a full fledged dance record, excuse me, I knew that sneeze was gonna come eventually. But yeah, like you said, like Britney and Madonna, she's just now she's just a brat. I guess it must have started now. I don't know why all of a sudden the video was freezing up, but earlier it was fine. I'm assuming. Yeah, John Summers security. I told you I seen him up close. I was like, oh, how you doing? Oh, speaking of which, I didn't tell you about the Demi Lovato concert. So I went to the Demi Lovato concert. Yeah, the gays and the girls was out. The gays, some of y'all gays was getting my nerves, but overall, the concert was lit. Um, I did not know. Um, I wasn't familiar with the opening act, Adele. I wasn't really familiar with her music. But the kids in the audience, I mean, the kids that was there, they knew her music. The gays knew her music. The little kids that was there, because she had everybody. She had older people, she had the gays, she had the girls, she had little kids. So Demi hits all demographics. And when she came out, she did a lot of the stuff from It's Not That Deep. She also performed a lot more songs from the It's Not That Deep unless you want it to be, which is the deluxe edition. She did perform a lot more of those songs. I'm surprised that the song with her and Cobra didn't go all over as well as I had. So maybe because it's still fresh, but bitch, I've had that song on repeat. I've had her collaboration with Cobra on repeat since the beginning, and I was even imagining the choreography because I'm very visual when it comes to when I listen to certain artists, what the visuals will look like, what the choreography would look like. I needed some. It needed that video needs some crumping, some type of high energy choreography. I ain't saying Demi needs to because she a little stiff when she move, but let your dancers do all the work. But and also some of those outfits she was wearing last night was a choice. I ain't like some them outfits look so damn cheap. But overall, the dancers were sickening. I liked her stage setup. It was cute. Her catwalk was a little small. She had a half pit and then she had some seating areas on the floor as well. But her, I was looking to say, I'm like, the stage looks so small. It was good, and I did like the idea that she was incorporating a lot of like handheld cameras or whatever. So the dancers was doing it. I was thinking I kind of think she got that from Camila Cabello because remember she was doing that at one point too, where you have the dancers and the camera holding a lot of stuff. So a lot of the young girlies is doing that. But Demi did her thing. She sings down. So when people sit up there and talk about Demi was singing her ass off yesterday. I'm also noticing there's an overall trend of artists not using bands. So she literally had somebody programming the music. She recorded her background vocals and she was just singing to a track. That's literally what it was giving. Pretty girl in person. She brought her husband up to sing a song. What's that song? Who sang that song? And I don't want the world to see me. They got up there and sang that song. And also then she like did a throwback. She was like, I want y'all to throw back to an era or whatever the case was. So she had one of the dancers choose somebody in the audience. The audience person opened up the envelope, pulled the slide out, and she was like, JoJo. I'm like, what kind of fucking era is JoJo? I was like, wait a minute. Now I know she ain't got JoJo in the back. Lo and behold, they queued up Too Little Too Late, bitch. Did I lose my mind during that performance? I sure did. Because, you know, I love me some JoJo. That was one of my favorite songs. And so, but I love JoJo, period. But that's like one of her biggest hits. So she came out, they sang Too Little Too Late. It was a cute show. Definitely from what I heard from friends of mine, different than the show she just did in Boston. Because three people I know, one of my friends who I worked with in the circus, um, Geo, he lives in Boston. I think he even works at that arena that works up, but he went to the show and he's a Levotic. And so he was telling me about it. And then my other friend Seth went to that one, and another friend of mine went. So three people I know went to the Boston show, and they told me, "Oh yeah, she performed Sunday." I said, "Well, yeah, today I think she might perform more." So she did perform more songs from the deluxe edition, and it was a cute record. So I'm assuming I don't know when the tour wraps, but I'm guessing they'll probably get more of that show of what we got last night, minus JoJo, versus what previous shows she was giving. Because I guess now that the record's out, she can do a lot more of the newer songs. But I actually like this era from her, so I think she needs to do more dance music. Not Buki. You said once C well, what is that? Once C2 is released. Oh, Confessions 2. I'm like, what's C2? And the clubs are blasting each 11 track back to back. 11. She got 17. Well, 16. 17, right? 16. She has 16 tracks in well, the deluxe. I got the deluxe. First of all, I got the deluxe and I got the grinder vinyl. I'm like, this lady is going to clear my account out because I've never bought this much physical stuff since Confessions era. So this goes to show you I'm more excited about this era that's coming up. But she's crawling her ass back into the studio reheating those burnt fried nachos from Dua's liposuction bake. What? Are you reading Madonna? We're gonna have to fight. Demi Lovato is very popular, similar to Selena and Miley, just very underrated, similar to Christina if you compare her to Britney. Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember the name of the damn song. I knew it was Google though. I'm trying to remember the band. I'm like, wait, is it? Oh, but I couldn't remember the name of the song. But yeah, they say her and her husband sang that song last night. Well, I guess you want to give him a moment. Um, oh, you talking about Charlie? I was like, wait, what's? I was like, what's? I don't know why I thought C2. Oh, now I got what you're saying because you're saying once Confessions 2 is released and the clubs are blasting each of the tracks back to back, she crawling her ass back into the studio and reheating those burnt fried nachos. So you're saying that she'll jump back on the bandwagon again. Now I got it. I don't know. It takes a minute. But but yeah, they sang that song. She is, because I said she comes from the clubs. But yeah, she is definitely underrated. And even last night, she was so surprised that she sold out Madison Square Garden. I'm not gonna sit up here and say it's easy to sell out Madison Square Garden because it's not. I've seen some artists who were booked at Madison Square Garden and did not fill up the entire place. But she filled it up last night, and she was surprised, genuinely surprised. But yeah, it was a good show. It was it felt like I was at a club. But yeah, it was a good show. I even had somebody that worked in the Met, what is it, MetLife Stadium was asking me how he can get a job. He said, I'm thinking about working here. Is it the same thing? Like, and then basically was asking me some questions and things. So uh, I was like, who messaged me? I was gonna say, child, don't remind me because I did talk about Kim Petras. Yeah, she did do an arena tour and it flopped. What was it a stadium? I thought it was an arena. She did a big tour, and yeah, I was like, girl, them songs, them songs you doing does not warrant it being a a big event. You need to be doing theaters. You should have did the Infosys Theater at Madison Square Garden. That's our smaller theater where we could fit 5,000 people in there. So that's what you should have did, and that would have worked. You try or Webster Hall or Radio City, which Jesse Ware is doing, but I don't think arena girl, you can't fill that up unless you got a couple of opening acts. Also, I don't even think the Sweat Tour did all that. I mean, yeah, it did good for the Garden, but um Charlie by herself on that stage, I already told her that was like the weakest part for me. Troy Sivan gave the better show. But anyway, let's get we are down to our final four topics. So before we get to our final four of the evening, if you could please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and also be sure to smash that notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Also, what helps out with the channel, you can hype it up, share it with your friends, all that good stuff. Tell them about my messy show over here because we talk about all kinds of stuff. We talk about celebrity news, we talk about pop culture, we talk about all the drama and all that other stuff that's going on that's trending. It may not be necessarily trending, but it's among a certain group of people that like certain things. So, right out further ado, let's get into some. Hold on. You said Melanie C is doing Webster Hall in September, getting close to the first album of Gay Summer. I was listening to some of the songs off her album yesterday because I'm like, the album comes out in a couple of days next week, May 1st. So I was listening to some of the singles off the album. I was like, I was gonna wait until the album dropped, and I was like, oh, these singles is cute. Because the only song I listened to was Sweat, and then after that, she started dropping other singles, and I was like, I should wait. But then I don't know. Yesterday was pulling me to listen to it, so I listened to it. Moo Moo's in the building. Said hi, hosting everyone. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into some flaming homosexual news, and let's talk about Billy Porter, who recently did an interview with who do you do an interview with? Bevelations on Sirius XM. Sidebar. Did y'all hear that tea that Sirius XM and iHeartMedia is about to merge? There's a big story coming out about that. I may have to cover that on Monday. But anyway, so Billy Porter sat down with Bevy Smith, who is my spiritual auntie, because she is my true belief of it gets greater later, and I want my career to pop off like hers, where it's like the career pops later on in life because then when you're older, you appreciate it more. So she did an interview with Billy Porter, and he basically revealed whether or not he's going to be going to the Met Gala. You know who else is not going to the Met Gala? Our mayor Zoran Mamdani, and people are all upset. Well, why said he not? Because he ain't playing up in this whole corporate shill bullshit. Especially with his position, he going after all these damn landlords and all these rich people in New York City who got vacant homes and ain't paying no taxes. So yeah, he said he won't be going. This is what he said in a recent episode of Sirius XM's Bevelations. He said, I have not been invited. I haven't been invited back since 2019. That's the only time I've ever gone, and the only time I've ever been invited. And I was invited by Ryan Murphy that year. And it said the theater, TV, movie actor starred in, because he was on Pose, which was on 3 seasons from 2018 to 2021. And that's probably the reason, because it was like Pose was popular at the time. Everybody was, and I know some people might get mad at saying this, but let's call Hollywood for what it is. Hollywood loves jumping on a trend or whatever's chic or whatever's popular. We're going to jump on it. And trans people are treated in so many ways like they're chic and they're popular, like an accessory. And so because Pose was the popular thing in the moment and everybody wanted to be a part of this thing that of course I was aware of because I have a lot of friends who come from the ballroom community. Um, and I was raised on knowing a lot about voguing and ballroom and that whole scene, especially from Paris is Burning, which I call the quintessential homosexual Bible. When the mainstream got a hold of it or whatever, they just trying to treat it like it was a trend. And with Billy Porter getting all the accolades and the Emmy nominations and Emmy wins and all these other things, yeah, they're gonna be, oh yeah, let's bring him in. And it was very over the top. And I live for what he did with this whole look. That's why I put this picture up, because this is when he went to the situation. And he basically was saying, like, now that I guess all that's died down, they don't want nothing to do with him. So yeah, so now they said last year was Black Dandyism, and I was not invited, which is what he said of the theme Superfine, tailoring Black style. Yeah, that was when I think Pharrell and all of them was a part of the situation. And you had everybody who was Black, apparently, that was there, and they were playing up this whole look. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm good. It's all good. But the reality is, when people ask me, you need to know, I was not invited, and I don't go to places where I'm not welcome. Now, Porter, as you know, is known for his dramatic, often genderless looks, which have included tuxedo dresses to award shows. So he said that he's not broken up about missing the first Monday in May event. He said, I've earned the invitation, and it's okay that I don't have it, because there's a level that I've reached that doesn't require validation from the outside. So I'm going to sit and live in that, because it helps keep me sane too. Now, the 2019 Emmy winner for his work on Pose has explained that he sees clothing as more than just functional. He says fashion is art, and we're the first to be silenced. That's what he told Women's Wear Daily in February 2023. I'm trying to step up and use my art to make a difference in the world. But he said he favors taking a break and relaxing in sweatpants and t-shirts at home. Now, here's the thing. I think also people are saying that the reason why he wasn't invited is because apparently he called um Anna Wintour a bitch. I think this was addressed in, I'm trying to remember which interview, because I remember around the time when he had just started recovering from his sepsis and all the other stuff that was going on with him, and he started doing like little interviews and stuff here and there. He did mention that he said that he didn't call her a bitch. He was like, in the term of like bitch, bitch, what, like, you know how we use the term bitch versus calling somebody a bitch. That is what he said that he was referring to that situation, and things may have gotten misconstrued. You would think with Edna Mode looking ass, Anna Wintour being around so many faggots, that they would probably understand what the terminologies and stuff are. But like I said, and a lot of times in this industry, people are treated like accessories. So, and one of the things I have to say I love about Billy Porter is the fact that he's gotten to a place in his life where I've had a taste of the other side. I've hit that plateau of that glass ceiling of being on the side of the A list and this, that, and the other. But guess what? I almost died. I literally almost lost my life. And so all this vapid stuff doesn't mean anything. All these little, these things that you get from having access to being A-list, material things. I was trying to find the damn word. I don't know why it wasn't coming to me, but all the material things, this don't mean anything. All the accolades that don't mean anything, because it's like once you peel all that back, who are you as a person? Like, do you value or validate who you are through stuff? Because you can't take it with you when you die. That's what a lot of these insecure ass politicians don't understand. The ones that's sitting here making all this money, stealing from us as people. You can't take all this shit when you die. So what are you getting all bent, caught up in this situation for? I just don't get it. But I just love the fact that he's coming to this revelation that, you know what, I'm 50 something years old. I don't give a fuck about all this other crap. I'm gonna still live being. I'm gonna still speak my truth. I'm gonna probably be an activist. I'm gonna come out here, sing my songs. I'm gonna do my little movies. But if I don't ever get to a place in my career where I get to have that taste of A-list, I've already had a taste of it. I know what it's like. I know if whether or not I want it, and I'm ready to move on. So, unfortunately, yeah, Billy Porter. If he don't want to be, if he don't want to, if he doesn't see his value in going to the damn Met Gala, who will be the judge? So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Billy Porter saying that, yeah, I don't go where I'm not wanted. or where I'm not invited. I'm not forcing myself to go. So why you won't accept me and let me go to the Met Gala? Like, who gives a fuck? I mean, I'll probably be looking at some of the photos of what people wore the day that it happens, and we'll talk about it on the show. But it's not the end all be all of our existence of whether or not certain people don't go. But whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. You say you like attitude. Wait, what attitude we talking? Did I miss something? You know, when once I say stuff out of sight, out of mind. Yes, she is. I love me some Beverly Smith. She's a Harlem girl. And you said, well, homeboy isn't popping anymore, but he had an uppity attitude towards his cast after he won the Emmy. So my sympathy for him is minimal. Ooh, yes, first Monday of May. So that'll be what, May 3rd, 4th? I don't remember. I don't remember, child. Um, yeah, it's the 4th. May the 4th be with you. You know, they're gonna run that into the damn ground. I had to look at my calendar. Good for him. Why should he beg to be included? The Met Gala outfits have gone down. Yeah, they have. They like these artists don't even be really taking risks. And you know what's the worst part too? They oh yeah, thank you. Because it's like I don't I suck at remembering titles. A lot of times when they put the outfits and stuff together, I'm like, did y'all not understand what the theme is? Because remember when they did camp, I'm like, this shit is not camp. That's costume. Hey, shit can't be about that outfit. Oh, speaking of which, I meant to mention, like, even the before the show started for Demi, even the the what do you know when they play music before the concert starts? I was like, even the song choices was good. They was playing a lot of Slater. I noticed last night, so I'm wondering, like, okay, so is Demi influenced by her and stuff? Because yeah, Slater's new album, "Worst Girl in America," that was getting played a lot last night. They even played Addison Rae, and I turned around because these little girls was up in there singing her songs, and I looked at her, and their mother started laughing. I was like, "Look, they got themselves a little audience." Speaking of which, now y'all talk about selling out the Garden. You know who also got a show coming in the summer now? And I'm like, I don't. Is she that big of an artist? Madison Beer apparently is doing the Garden this summer. I think in July. July gonna be busy because it's gonna be them, the Pussycat Dolls, so many other artists. I'm like, Madison Beer, really? Okay, we'll see. Beverly should have her own talk show. She's so entertaining. Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel, yeah. I mean, I could definitely see her with her own talk show. I just think the issue is because I like Beverly Smith when she would come on and being on the panel with Wendy Williams. When they would talk about celebrity gossip and stuff on the Fridays. I miss when they had her coming on doing that. I think but yeah, network television sucks so much. I wouldn't even want her to be on there. I like do your thing. Not a Kaya. See if Onyx was up in here, you know, he definitely would say that. I'd be surprised if Madison can sell out. That's why I said y'all setting that girl up for failure, like y'all did Kim Petras. I never got around to watching Page Six TV. But yeah, when that was on, I never got around to watching that. All right, so now, hold on, because another comment came in. Yep, that was so good when she was on Wendy. That's what I said. I like when she was on the panel with Wendy and they would sit and talk celebrity news guys. She would have Rob Shutter on there too, and you know I reference Rob Shutter's channel a lot. You gotta have a hit. I said not just about nobody. Anyway, okay, so now let's get back into the rest of the show. And let's talk about Little Nas X. So Little Nas X's interview with T.S. Madison on her Outlaws podcast and sidebar, even though I knew it was going to happen. Congratulations, Maddie, on a second season of her Outlaws podcast. She's been pulling a lot of really good interviews. A lot of interviews she was doing has been relatively good. So I've been liking a lot of her interviews as of late, and it just shows like this interesting. Oh, that was another. Did I mention? Was it? I said one of Billy Porter's interview. I think it was his interview with T.S. Madison when he started revealing stuff about the whole Anna Wintour thing, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so she closed out the season with the Lil Nas X thing, and I think it's because we're at a point now where there's a light at the end of the tunnel in regards of that little situation that happened, because she was supposed to release this interview around the time when that thing happened, when he ended up getting arrested. So she pulled it and put a little disclaimer in the beginning of the video, which I had a feel. I was like, yeah, the smart thing to do about that is to do a disclaimer. I was thinking maybe you should have did like a part two, or maybe the season premiere of season two, you could sit down with Lil Nas X again just to find out, with all this happening, once he's done with everything with the trial, well, this whole case, and once all of that is behind him, then he can come out and speak on what's been what's he been doing and what's he been going through. But anyway, so one of the things that's got everybody talking is the latest on his sexuality, where he was talking about having feelings for men, but emotional feelings for women. So he spoke candidly about how he labels his sexuality on T.S. Madison's Outlaws podcast, saying he's gay, but 99% attracted to men, while acknowledging occasional feelings for women. Now, during the interview, which was filmed in February of 2025, before he was arrested, which is what I told y'all, in August that year, he discussed his attractions and the possibility of it changing. The rapper said, "I'm gay, but if something happens, I'm not going to stop myself," before adding, "but mostly I 99% lean towards men." He also clarified that he never had sex with a girl, which also Maddie admitted she never had sex with a girl either. She says, "I'm attracted," because there was a whole conversation where they had about that. He was like, he didn't believe her that she had never slept with a woman. She was like, "No, I never had sex with a girl. Like, I find women to be beautiful. And a lot of times when I'm with my guy friends, we'll look at a chick and be like, damn, she look good. But this big old dick," and that's what she referred it to, Maddie in her mouth, has never graced the lips or the vagina of a woman. And there are such things of gold star homosexuals, where there are people that is like, "I like girls, you look good," or whatever the case is, but I'm not there with that. So it kind of makes me wonder, because I know we shouldn't be so quick to try to put labels on people, but if we were to play the label game, kind of makes me wonder, do you think, because he said he's 99% homosexual, but he has emotional feelings for a girl, could it be that he could be bisexual? Could he be pansexual? But if he feels like, "I have specific feelings for men, but every now and again I get that emotional connection," because a lot of people's complaint, and I think that's why Heat of Rivalry is such a popular show, is because they look at it as these two men are being vulnerable and emotional in a lot of their connected feelings towards one another. Even though Ilya does push back because of the whole Russian upbringing, that sort of thing. And when you watch the show, but for the most part, I think that's why women gravitate toward the show, because you get to see men in a more emotional and sensitive light versus this image that is always perpetuated that men have to put on this hyper masculine mask, where we can't be emotional, where we always have to be, you know, aggressive, an asshole, or whatever the case is. Like, case in point, I saw this story, and I wasn't even aware of it until I saw another person talk about it. That a guy went, and some teenage boy hit on a girl, and this is why we got to protect these girls out here. And because I feel like a lot of men don't have respect for women or girls and women in general, or just the opposite sex. Guy went and hit on the girl. The girl was like, she wasn't interested. And it's like, you can't even turn down guys now without your life being put on the line. He proceeds, and while the friend is filming it, now his life is done, picks the girl up, proceeds to pick her up in the air, body slam her on the floor, and proceeds to stomp on her head. And all the while, the friend is filming this and giggling like the shit's funny. It's like, does this not compute to y'all that this is not okay? There was even another kid that had is posting video or things on social media for some underage girl, and he's underage as well. Now about to go to jail because another female, like, he's showing pictures of her and exchanging things online. And there's laws about that. So parents, I really got to teach your kids on the laws and things of that nature, especially when it comes to cyber stuff, because your kid could end up in jail. And teach your boys to respect girls and the gays, because when it comes down to it, especially being a young black man in America, y'all don't see it for gay boys and stuff as well. So he also wanted to, because I feel like we're going off on a tangent, but let me bring it back. He also clarified that he never had sex with a girl, but had feelings for women, which are mostly emotional and not sexual. Now, Lil Nas X reflected on the reaction he faced after coming out, saying it initially hit him harder than he expected. Saying, at first, it really bothered me, he said, adding that he was surprised by how much people cared about his sexuality. Well, it might be Americans, because why are Americans so caught up in who people sleep with? I think if you go to Europe and all these other places, I don't think they care all that much unless you're homophobic. But for the most part, in America, we're so fixated on who people sleep with, especially when it comes to gays. There was this one kid that I saw that is like a looks maxer, and he was like calling people gay. And he said calling them gay is a compliment, but there's competition in regards to like men hooking up with men. So he's not even bothered by it. So he also went on to describe the impact of intense scrutiny, saying it made him feel paranoid and afraid to move too much or be seen too much. I felt like the entire world was against me. And that's probably why, maybe in a way, that was the reason why he was fighting so hard back in the situation in regards of when people were coming at him over him being gay, whatever. That's why he was pushing for the religious imagery and all the other stuff that he was doing in his music videos. Maybe that was a way for him to fight back against, the ignorant and the homophobes that were coming at him. Now, during the conversation, T.S. Madison asked Little Nas X about the support he had around him, including whether he had LGBTQ plus people in his life he could lean on. He said, if I'm being like super honest, like for like the past 7, 8, 9, I don't know how many long months, I kind of got away from everybody. Even like my team and everything, I kind of got rid of everybody. And I'm just now bringing people back on board. And that's another thing too, is like you got to figure out how to love yourself. And you also need to surround yourself with people who have your best interests at heart. And also look into those queer elders who can teach you about the world and the pressures and all the other stuff that what it goes through being an older gay person, having been where you are and passing that knowledge down to you. So when you out here looking for those moments, I feel like you need to, there needs to be people in your life that can give you the knowledge. And hopefully the way T.S. Madison is very mothering towards him, that she could be that listening ear or that person that when you out here acting a fool and carrying, that she could be that person to help you, like teach you and guide you and give you not teach it. Well, I don't know. Teaching always makes us feel like you kind of being a little too, not. I don't want to say like being aggressive, but giving you the tools, I should say, so that way you could be able to finagle through the world as a black queer person who happens to be in the arts. So now he's currently rebuilding his confidence required, and they said that he basically said that renewing his confidence required renewed inner work, saying I had to really go on a self-love journey again and more than ever this time and really accept every single part of me while I perceive it as good or bad and stop trying to force change in myself all the time. Yeah, you got to let yourself just evolve and just accept that, as human beings, we're not perfect, we are flawed, and there's all different sides of ourselves. So we all strive for the perfection. Now, as y'all know, he broke through Old Town Road, came out as gay during Pride Month that year. They talk about his high concept visuals, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And we already know about the arrest in August of 2025, where he was charged with 4 felonies. And um, as we said before, they found out he's bipolar. And if he follows a treatment plan and avoids breaking the law for 2 years, they'll drop the charges. So stay on the straight and narrow, Nazi. We believe in you. And I feel like if you do want to make a comeback into music, try not to go into the whole hip hop situation, because the hip hop community, even though there's so many closeted homosexuals in that genre, don't see it for you. Come for the people that actually support your music. So stick to the gays, stick to the hipsters, stick to the girls. Do get more. Experiment more with your sound. And we'll see if you can have that musical comeback once you work on your Montero comeback. So work on Montero first, and then we'll see if there's something there in regards of the music and the creativity. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story of Lil Nas X making an appearance finally over there on uh Outlaws with T.S. Madison? I almost forgot the name of the damn show. So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments. Well, if you saw it, what are your overall thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. Yeah, that was always a term that I've always preferred. Like, because I always feel like sexuality is just not one thing. I mean, if you feel that in your heart that you are a gay, a guy who likes guys, or a girl who likes girls, if you feel like you're straight and narrow in that way, then you can label it that. But if you feel like that there's some fluidity to your sexuality, then you should accept, like, work on that and focus on that and accept that. But he's young, he's still figuring his way around the world. But people are always so quick to want to have labels on people when it comes to certain things. So gotta allow people to evolve and grow. But I do agree with that sentiment. You said folks will take what he said and turn around and come up with absolutely, absolutely. And that was what I was thinking in the back of my head too. Well, he not fully gay. He just choosing to be. It's like, no, sexuality is fluid. You can't just say that somebody is one thing, because quiet as it's kept, there's a lot of straight men out here who low key like having sex with men. And y'all just look at it as a down low thing, but why don't we get into the real nuanced conversation of why a lot of men feel like they have to lie about what their interests are in order to be accepted by society? But true people feelings come out um when it come down, people true feelings come out once you give them a couple of drinks. Have you ever been around a Mexican after he had a couple of beers? Oh, they true feelings come out there. He says some gays are anti-bi because they have an ongoing war in the head of straight versus gay and vice versa. So sadly, they're ignorant in acknowledging one's bisexuality or the spectrum within it. I agree. What else? I don't know. I'm like, did something change up in here? Because they got this new thing where I can open the comments in a new window. Because I'm like, why is this thing here? It's in a way, and it's annoying. Hold on, because I'm gonna see. Oh yeah, so now I can make it bigger and I can open it up and stuff. Um, and I just started playing with this thing. I'm like, wait a minute, why is it? Because there's this thing in the way, and I was afraid of hitting the wrong button. So now that I know what it is, now I can open up it in the window. And there's this new thing they got on StreamYard. I know y'all can't see it. Y'all don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But I could actually make the comments bigger so that way I could see it and click on it and stuff. So yeah, now I know what this is. I can start playing around with it more. So anyway, so folks came at me when I came out as bisexual before being with a female, claiming I can't know without being with a female. I told them I know I'm bi, just like they knew they were gay before betting a man. And just like some people know they straight. So you can't sit up in here and tell somebody that they don't know something because that's not your experience. It's like, what are you talking about, Willis? Lil Nas Lil Nas out here with missing with missing teeth because the LA gays giving him too much Tina. Mm. Yeah, that's kind of make me wonder, because I remember that time we seen him pumping down the street in them cowboy boots and the white drawers, like he was the naked cowboy in Times Square. I was like, is she on that? Is she on that? Is she a Methodist? Is she out here hanging out with Miss Crystal? So that's what had me wondering. I was like, wait a minute, why I thought something was in my teeth? I'm seeing things because apparently, look, I did brush my teeth before I went live. So now I'm looking to see, I'm like, I feel like, oh my God, there was something in my teeth. That was embarrassing. I was like, wait, why is there something on my teeth? A mess. I'm just falling apart on camera. Look at me. I'm like Wendy Williams, like blowing my nose and cleaning my teeth and stuff on camera. Boy, I can actually do a whole barcode. Okay, let me stop playing around with this thing and get back into the show. All right, y'all. So now let's get into some more topics. And let's talk about All Stars. So All Stars 11, like we already got rid of season 18. Season 18 is behind us. Thank you, Jesus. We could all move on with our lives. I know a lot of people didn't particularly care about season 18. I thought relatively some of the girls was entertaining. I like some of the queens. It's just the overproduction of the interference of the producers and some of the challenges were kind of annoying this season. But overall, it wasn't that bad. I know a lot of people hated this season, and y'all pretty much just went and gave like really bad reviews to a lot of the episodes, depending. Like there were like low ratings on them, meaning like people vote on how they place what number or whatever. So like a 6.5 or whatever the case is, that sort of thing. Not ratings. So I think people relatively stuck around and watched the show. But so we got All Stars coming. And if you've been paying attention like I have, you should not be surprised by any of the queens that are on this upcoming season because they done revealed, she done already done had revealed or revealed who's gonna be partaking on this upcoming season of All Stars 11. So the drag baddies and competitive brackets of RuPaul's All Drag Race All Stars are back, 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 back again. And I know some people complain that they was like they couldn't pick different colors this season. Like y'all use the same colors from last season. Look, I've been saying this for the longest in regards to All Stars. Is there no budget this time around? Who knows? I'm gonna see. I don't know yet if I'm gonna go to the All Stars premiere next month, but who knows? I might end up going, depending on how my schedule is. So, but I'll give you guys an update as that develops. But anyway, so the new season of the reality competition is set to premiere on May 8th on Paramount Plus and will feature 18 fan favorite queens returning to dominate in the tournament of All Stars. So, the dazzling, dynamic, and downright legendary cast of queens joining RuPaul's All Stars season 11 has been revealed, and they are not here to play; they're here to slay. Now, season 11 makes its debut on Paramount Plus with a oh, good. I'm like 2 episode premiere. Okay, I'm here for that. Did they do that last year too? 2 episodes? Because you can't do these, and which I know, like in the premiere, the girls got upset because they're like, "Well, damn, you rushing our bracket in the first week." So we don't really get to have the moment like the other girls where they each had their week to week with the 3 brackets. So everybody gets to spend more time with them. But here's the thing. I think with this whole bracket thing, I'm liking the idea. The only issue I had with the bracket last season was the fact that y'all rushed the final bracket, meaning when we eliminate all the other girls and you pick 3 queens from each bracket, right? Because that's how much it was. Because we're going from 18 to 3 from each bracket. So I think it's like 9. But if y'all gonna do that, I feel like what y'all need to do is stretch out those episodes where it's like individually we see what happens where the girls end up with whatever. So I don't like the idea of just giving 3 final episodes or 3 episodes with like the final girls who make it into the full thing. Because we need to spend more time with them and breaking on them. We'll see how they do this year, but they're probably gonna follow the same damn formula. So anyway, so as y'all know, the queens will be divided in 3 groups of 6, each competing in their own bracket across 3 episodes. At the end of each bracket, okay, so it's the top. I don't know why I thought it was 3. The top 2 queens with the highest point totals will advance to the semifinals. So that's 6 queens that's going to be left and go head to head with the top queens from the other groups in another round of fierce competition. At the end of the tournament, an epic lip sync smackdown for the crown grand finale episode where the finalists will battle it out for a grand prize of $200,000 and a place in the coveted Drag Race Hall of Fame. So, um, All Stars Untucked will also be available to stream on Paramount Plus beginning May 8th, taking viewers behind the scenes to the backstage drama as the queens anxiously wait for their fate each week. So now the queens that made it on this season, we'll go through their pictures, the collage of photos that I have of them once I read y'all who's on the show. So we got Akira C. Davenport who's back, which I told y'all I'm literally in the middle of watching All Star 6 right now. So Akira was just on that episode, and that was the season when they were doing a game within a game. They were bringing the girls back to kind of do a whole lip sync smackdown against each other, and whoever beats each queen. I kind of wish they would bring that back though, where behind the scenes, at the end of every episode, once the girls have done their little walk off the stage and they've sashayed away and they're going about in the workroom, they bring out the eliminated queens, and they perform, and whoever beats that girl, and they come back every week. And that was when Silky was pretty much beating everybody. But looking back on it, Silky was real sloppy with her performances or whatever. And speaking of which, Silky is on this season, but we're gonna get into that in a second. I just want to sit on this whole Akira thing. And Akira was the only girl that did not want to come back. She was like, I just want to remember the thing that I did at the time that I did it. I don't want to come and do a battle. And that's when Silky came out as doing Barbie Girl with half man, half woman. That clip will forever be iconic. So that was the iconic episode that Akira is supposed to be a part of, but she never partook. So Silky kind of just came out and did her own thing, which kind of makes me wonder, was she aware that that was going to happen? They try to play it up like she didn't know, because she came out as a split. Was that all, part of it? If I ever came across Silky, I would ask her, was that all premeditated, or did that actually, like, was that just a thing of circumstance? Like, they were like, oh, you should come out and do half man, half woman thing and play two characters. But then I guess because they were going to sing against they were lip syncing the Barbie girl. They were like, okay, this will be the stunt that I'm going to do, because she knew by doing the stunts that was what was progressing her to the end, which she didn't make it to the end because she messed up trying to take her outfit off. And that's how Eureka came back into the show. So we got Akira C. Davenport from season 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race and All Star 6. April Carrion from season 6, who still looks good in person. They got a lot of pretty queens on this season. Aura Mayari from season 15. Then we got Crystal Method, who was with the El DeBarge haircut from season 12. Hershey Liqueur Jete from season 16. Jasmine Kennedy, who the last time I saw Jasmine was at the RuPaul's Drag Race premiere. Season 18. Season 14, Joey J, that gay ass bitch, that's what he refers to himself as. Season 13, Kennedy Davenport, who has been on a ton of times. Season 7, All Stars 3, and also she did Canada's Drag Race, Canada versus the World. They ain't want to put that up in there. Then we got one of our pork chop girls, Lucky Stars, from season 17. We got Dawn from season 16. Morphine loved Dion, more on her later. Season 16. Morgan McMichaels from season 2 of All Stars 3. Why you mad though? Why you mad though? Why you mad though? Why you mad though? Mystique, bitch, I'm from Chicago, Summers from season 2. It'll be interesting to see how these queens interact with each other on the season, because that was like the last time they was in the same room together. But I'm sure that things have changed. And what was that like? That was season 2. So that's about 16 years ago. Damn, that's a long time flies. Since that incident, we'll see. Um, Selena S. Titties with her new body, Ozempic body, season 15. Sam Starr with her Southern Shade from season 17. Sugar Cane from season 11. Dr. Reverend Silky Nutmeg Ganache from season 11 of All Star 6. And Mother Has Arrived, aka Vivacious, from season 6. So we got all those girls that are coming back. That should be awesome that we have all these queens to come back. And yeah, I wanted to go through these pictures because I was like, I definitely was living for the photos and stuff that we have up in here of the queens. So we have, if it don't stop blurring, I don't know, it's probably the size of the photos. Why is it taking so long? Maybe I need to make it smaller, because I'm like, this whole thing of it rendering really slow, this is beyond annoying. Or maybe I'll just do it this way, because yeah, you're doing too much. Let's do this one. So we have RuPaul here. Then we have the regular picture. Damn, it's doing it here too. What the hell's going on? Why is it taking so long with the rendering? Okay, so I think it worked now. Okay, so we got Vivacious here. Then we got Silky Nutmeg Ganache. Then we got Sugar Cane. Let's see if it works on the other page. Are they all gonna be okay? So I got it over here now. Now it's freaking working. So we got Silky Nutmeg Ganache, Sugar Cane. Damn, it's all doing it. Maybe I should make it smaller. This damn internet is trying me today. And I have Verizon. That's the good one. So I'm like, why is it taking so damn long? Okay, so yeah, I'm not going to make it bigger. So then we have Sam Starr, Selena Estitis, Mystique Summers, Morphine Love Dion, Morgan McMichaels. I don't know why every time I see Morgan McMichaels, I just want to go, why you mad though? Why you mad though? Why you mad though? Why you mad? Because that song was so damn stupid. Um, Lucky Stars is Magically Delicious. Kennedy Davenport, Joey J, that gay ass bitch, Jasmine Kennedy, Put Your Hands on Me, Jasmine Kennedy. I know that's the Lady Gaga remix. Hershey LaCour Jete, Dawn, Crystal Method, April Carrion, as you know, she likes to say her name, Aura Mayari, Akira C. Davenport, and we got Vivacious again. So they had so many different pictures because they were doing like their faces and all that other stuff. So there was a lot of that going on. But overall, I'll say I'm excited for this upcoming season. I'm looking forward to this upcoming season. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? I just need to see like the trailer, what we could be expecting from the challenges, the drama, the shade. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of that going on. Are we going to have any Mistress Isabel Brooks type drama that was going to be going on this season where the girls is being catty and shady? You know, we live for it because it's entertaining. But I'm definitely looking forward to this upcoming season. I definitely want to hear from y'all. What are your thoughts on this upcoming season of Queens? Are you pumped? Are you excited? Or just like in the words of RuPaul, meh? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. All right, now speaking of comments, I will get to y'all comments after I do this final topic, because it's RuPaul's Drag Race related. So let's get into this final topic and then I'll come back to your comments as I said before. Let's talk about Morphine Love Dion. So Morphine, as we already stated, is going to be on the upcoming season of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 11. And one of the things that caught a lot of people's eye, including mine, because I said that was literally what blurted out of my mouth when I looked at her on in the, you know, when we watched the little trailer thing that they put out, and when we saw her confessional look, it was like, did Morphine come out as trans? And that's what a lot of people took to social media was wondering, because the last time I saw Morphine was at the RuPaul's Drag Race season 18 premiere because her drag child was there, Juicy. So when I saw, so Morphine was there, but Morphine, every time you see her, she's in full geesh. So I wouldn't have known whether or not they were trans or whatever the case is, because a lot of the time when the girls was coming, I ain't gonna say all of them because there was quite a few of them there that were in their boy drag. I told you when I saw Rose was in boy drag. There was a lot of the queens from the show were not there dressed up. I think even Candy Muse was in boy drag. So um now season 16, let's get into the story. So RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16 and All Stars 11 Queen Morphine Love Dion, who identifies as non-binary, had fans wondering on social media if she had come out as trans after seeing their out-of-drag confessional look. So someone posted on social media, I can't remember, did Morphine come out as trans? One asked. Another said on Twitter, is Morphine trans? Because, oh my God, that's a woman. Now, the question remains, is she trans? Now, and I call everybody she, so don't get all your tits in a twist. That's a homosexual vernacular. Now, Morphine Love Dion has said on multiple occasions, as I said earlier, that she identifies as non-binary, but on the more feminine side. At the time of her announcement for All Stars 11, she has not publicly come out as a trans woman. Now, during an exchange with season 17 queen Corey King, she said, "Corey and I are trans non-binary hoes." Well, did Corey come out and say that? Then said, while non-binary is considered part of the trans umbrella, Morphine has specifically said she's non-binary. Well, also, remember, Arca said that they're non-binary, but I think they identify as trans now, but it's still the same thing. It's under the umbrella. And if you identify as non-binary, meaning it's like I play in between worlds, meaning like I'm genderless, where I have feminine, I look more feminine, but I have those features, whatever the case is. And I don't want to come out and say that I'm this or I'm that. So non binary, I feel like it's a safer thing to call yourself because you have those masculine and feminine features, even though you do present more as feminine. I don't have to lock in and say that I'm trans. People just have to come out in their own time, and you have to just let them come out in their own time whenever they're ready to come out. So, in 2024, as her original season was airing, she clarified things on Twitter after talking about getting a Brazilian butt lift on the show, which, of course, BBL. Now, a number of fans tagged her in a post from Dr. Miami that read, "Yes, men get BBLs too." And trust and believe they do, because I have seen some men with some BBLs, and I'm like, girl, that is painfully obvious. That look like you injected cement in them cheeks. I'm just saying that as a point of being funny. But you know what I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Some people do get the silicone or whatever up in there and cement, but or fix a flat. But there are some people that's like, yeah, I see some man. I was like, God damn, that's a big old, and you could literally see it was a BBL. But yeah, men get them, and there's nothing wrong with that. If it makes you feel good about yourself, then get your Brazilian butt lift. She also clarified things without saying I'm non-binary, more to the feminine side. It's just something I've personally been more comfortable identifying as for years now. And then she also went on and said, because people was tagging with the BBLs, I love y'all so much, but please stop tagging me in this. Y'all know I'm a they, them, her, right? And if you didn't know, now you know. Now, similarly speaking, with Entertainment Weekly, she addressed comments from fans suggesting she should come out as trans, as her co-star A Mandatory Meeting had. And she said, even before Drag Race, every time a beautiful trans girl will be like, "You're so gorgeous. When are you starting your moans?" That's, hormones. It would bother me a lot. Now it's more of a joke because they know I'm not there yet. I'm not saying I don't want to be trans. I'm not saying I am trans. If I am, I need time for myself to figure that out. I'm comfortable with myself now, and I don't think it's cute to force the pressure someone into transitioning. I think it's a little weird. And it's like, yeah, just because aesthetically she does give fish, tuna, tilapia, full on salmon, that does not mean that, oh, well, I need you to come out and what is this? What are you? Who are you? Like label, 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 label. It's like leave Morphine alone. Let Morphine figure out what she is. If she figures out, I mean, if she's comfortable enough being non-binary and not having to go through, like, I like wearing the women's clothes. I like looking feminine. I like the aesthetic of being of what a woman gives, like EJ Johnson. Then let Morphine live her life as she does. It's the same thing as like what Valentina was dealing with. For a long time, people wanted Valentina to come out as trans. Um, I even knew about Detox being trans, but I was sworn to secrecy not to bring it up. And then when she came out and said that she was trans and talked about it on Roscoe's viewing party, that was when I was like, okay, the cat's out the bag. Now we can talk about it. But you got to let people be them and figure their own thing out and stop trying to force people to come to terms with things that they're not ready to come to terms with. And if she's comfortable enough being identified as non-binary, then let her do that. Maybe she'll come out in due time whenever that need for. Maybe she never will, and that should be fine. And y'all should be okay with that. Because, like I said before, Valentina went through all that mess too of y'all pressure on her to try to come out as trans, and then chose the time when she felt it was right to come to her terms and to say what it was that she is. So good luck to you, Morphine. Live your life. Don't let these girls bother you. But I'm sure once we get closer to the premiere and once the show airs, you're gonna still keep hearing this because a lot of people ain't gonna be aware of this story. Probably until I cut it up and post it on my YouTube, and I have people in the comments yapping about it. So I say all this to say, no matter the social media platforms, what do you guys think of this story regarding Morphine Love Dion and people pressuring her to come out as a trans woman based off of what they've seen in a clip off a show? So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. All right, hold on. I was gonna say I gotta because it always takes a minute for me to open up this damn video thing. Well, we all knew that was coming. He's an idiot. So all that grand, all that kissing Trump ass and acting like a damn groupie, it only got you for so far. I wonder how Mystique and Morgan will act seeing each other again. I can't wait to see that too. Drake, not Drake's BBL scars. I mean, no shade, but I actually would like to see him naked so that way I can look and see the BBL. I mean, we've seen his penis. Might as well see the back part too. Club Confessions is happening at the Abbey today in Los Angeles at 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. I also believe she also waited to release an album where her twins are much older and can take care of themselves. Yeah, because it's like you don't want to leave the kids home alone and all other stuff. So it's like, yeah, I did hear the tea about the Abbey and that thing happening. Abbey's under new management. One of the guys who was it that T.S. Madison interviewed? He actually bought the Abbey because he owns a bunch of hotels and stuff. So he went and purchased the Abbey and was talking about it. And, there was some controversy surrounding in the comments I was reading on him where they were saying like a lot of people was ending up getting, well, I don't know, they were slipping Mickeys and people drink. Funny. Um, yeah, they were slipping Mickeys and people drink at the Abbey. So that was the word on the street. So yeah. All right, y'all. So I think I figured out how to make this thing work in the future, so I don't have to keep opening it up back and forth. All right, y'all. So it looks like we are at the end of today's show. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I said it was going to be under 3 hours, and I was pushing for that to happen, but I knew that Michael story was going to really take us over the edge. Otherwise, it would not be longer than it was. Did you see that Madonna's team allegedly made a journalist remove artists that were on the album? Rochelle Jordan and Kadir. Wait, what? They said that Madonna teams allegedly made a journalist remove artists that were on the album. Is it because they don't want people knowing who's on the record? They want to leave it as a surprise? But there's a rumor going around that she has a duet with Kylie, and we. Oh, so that's what? Yeah, because I was one. I was like, wait, Madonna not giving credit? I was like, we're not gonna pull a Beyonce around here, even though now Beyonce overcompensates for it. But I think yeah, because I was like, wait a minute. So I think that's what I was thinking because I was like, it's because she doesn't want leaks coming out. Because yeah, the fact that Rochelle, and that's why Rochelle came to Madonna's defense, probably because she is featured on the record. And if you heard Rochelle Jordan's last album, well, recent album, you know a lot of the influences and stuff of what she does in her music. That's why I was like, you know what? If Madonna ever did a collaboration with Kate Renata, oh bitch, that would be lit. I remember even saying I would love to hear Janet Jackson work with someone like a Kate Renata. So yeah, she doesn't want spoilers and stuff coming out, but reporters out here spilling shit because they want to have that exclusive. But yeah, I was like, it's like wait a minute, that is funny. But I was like, wait, Kadir Howard? I may have to look him up. Let me find out Madonna out here using YouTubers as a point of reference, or but I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with that. YouTubers are creators and artists too. I don't know why people kind of just they thumb their nose at YouTubers like we just a bunch of people on here running our mouth. Now, for the most part, we are doing that, but we also have some talent. Yeah, he's done remixes, but I've always wanted him to work with them as you know as artists, like get in the studio and make that music. Well, maybe he didn't get the idea of that. The reason why the name was removed was because Madonna doesn't want spoilers. So, um, maybe and then it also gets in this situation of YouTubers not understanding how the other side of the industry works and why certain artists make certain decisions. So there could be that as well. Maybe I'm thinking it's a communication thing. This should have been communicated with them so that way they know there's a reason why the names were removed. Is because it's a listening party. People are going to go to this event. They're going to hear the record and they'll give their overall thoughts on it. And I'm sure if Madonna is smart, she will make sure those phones is locked up because if any leaks get out, they will be held to pay. But anyway, y'all, so we're at the end of the show. I want to thank you all for tuning into the latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Hit that like button, subscribe, smash the notification bell, all that good stuff. Um, I'm gonna be working tomorrow, so I'll be back on Monday with a brand new episode of the show. Definitely, yeah. So look out for that. Whatever God, willing, whatever tea we gonna be spilling, we'll be talking about it here and all that good stuff. So, wait, what? Remember, Amoeba Music got caught leaking the actual tracking as well. Yeah, because we heard like the track list and stuff came out, and everybody, is it real? Is it fake? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, all his leaks. But at this point, it's like we can find out who's on the record. We'll be all hyped. As long as the music don't leak, we don't care who's on part of the track list. Excuse me. Yeah, they got a new album coming out. I heard their new single and they dropped the video over the weekend. But anyway, as I stated before, love you all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. And until next time, ciao, darlings.